Hello and welcome to another episode of the Vault Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host, MrMac, and we're on episode number 7. With me, excellent co-host, artist extraordinaire, is Gary Moore. Gary, what's happening?
Hello, Friday night again, and number 7 podcast. Can you believe it?
I know,
7
mate, I know.
episodes deep already. Wow.
Sweet, sweet. I can see that number 10 on the horizon already. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. Can't wait.
Aye, we'll be doing
Gary
that.
said he's going to host.
Aye, definitely. Number 10, I'm hosting.
It'll be number 10, top post, Gary Moore. So, aye. With us, we have a very special guest. The first time, of course, we had to bring on our best bud from the other side of the world is Hoodie, as I've mentioned in loads of times in the podcasts. And of course, special mention at the end of the podcast, Hoodie was the one that created our logo. So without further ado, I'm not going to put him on any higher of a pedestal. We've got Hoodie, the Penny Marvels. Hoodie, what is happening, mate? You all good?
Oh man, long-time friend, first-time guest. Big fan. Big fan of the podcast. Thank you
Some
for
say
having
the
me.
only fan.
Just because I take up 50 views does not mean I'm the only fan.
I'm expecting 100 for this episode today. That's the bare minimum.
Oh, I've already got 37 windows open, so it should be.
Oh, listen, that's it. Do you know what?
Yeah.
You're there, almost halfway. You can't
Yeah.
can't ask much more than that, I guess.
Thank
So
you for
this
having
week,
me.
obviously, we brought. No, you're more than welcome. I'm absolutely buzzing. It's funny. We had an idea of having guests on. I think we started talking about it like maybe 1 or 2 episodes in. Me and Gary were kind of speaking about it, and we'd kind of mentioned like 2 or 3 names, but without a doubt, we just wanted to have yourself on, and we just had to find the right topic. Although I think this is probably the first one that kind of came to mind for yourself,
Yeah,
amongst
definitely.
many others, to be fair. But I'm absolutely buzzing to have you here. And of course, in case anybody isn't aware, although it is in the title, our topic today is going to be our top 5 favourite Disney animation films. So I'm very excited to get into this because I'm on the edge of my seat to see what our Hoodie brings to the table. Because every time we have a top 5, he brings at least one, maybe 2 I've never seen before, and it's never the most it's also obscure films, and I absolutely love it. So we'll get to that very shortly. If you haven't listened to the podcast before, obviously we are 2 friends, a 10-year dream in the making, come together with an idea of bringing a podcast together, bring our thoughts, have a wee Friday night session, whether it be talking about games or movies. We just recently done an episode on the first season of My Hero Academia, which is my first anime as well, so check that out if that interests you. And in the future we'll obviously be doing different topics such as mental health, or a whole variety. Nothing is off the table, that is for sure. So usually we go straight into a wee what have we been playing segment, which we do every week. However, since we've got a wee guest, I'm going to hand the reins over to Mr. Gary Moore, who's going to bring his debut segment with our Hoodie. Take it away, buddy.
So we thought if we had a special guest, so we thought let's rep Scotland a wee bit here. So I decided to make up this wee game. So the wee game's going to be called I or No, and that's what Hoodie's got to answer. And I'm going I'm going to give him 4 fake and 4 real slang words, and I'm going to give him the word and I'm going to give him the sentence, and Hoodie's to guess whether I it's real or no it's fake. So we're going straight into it.
Straight into it. First question for £100. No, wait, nothing. For no money.
Hoodie, are you ready?
YouTube, that was a joke.
So the first word, Hoodie, is mock it. The sentence would be, that house is absolutely mock it.
It sounds like you're saying market.
Mock it.
I.
You
Gone for
are
that.
Correct.
Oh.
Hey!
Hey!
Okay.
That is a real word, and it just
No.
means like manky, dirty. Means like absolutely disgusting.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
house is absolutely disgusting. That house is absolutely mock it.
Well, I know you guys love hearing this. I'm 1% Scottish or something, you know? That's how you know I'm real. I'm real born and bred.
You and 98% of Americans, I think, say that.
Yeah. We celebrate that one holiday. It's all good. Oh, no, wait, sorry, that's not.
So my next word is a flunter. The sentence, that woman is a complete flunter with the guys.
No. Nah. What?
No,
What's that?
yeah.
No.
Well
No.
done, Hoodie. You are correct. It is no.
Hoodie's
You
well
are
aware.
completely correct. That is not a real word.
I feel like I know the actual word.
Too clever for
There
this.
is for that description.
The next question. Ken Heed. I was drinking last night and got Ken Heed out my nut.
Oh my gosh. Fool. I.
Oh no, sorry, that was
No.
wrong.
Ah.
That was
man.
no.
The heat is what was like, maybe.
Next question. Dingy. I was talking and he pure dinged me.
I.
You're correct.
Yeah.
I think you've heard that one before. Hoodie.
I've heard Gary use that.
Dinged just means he's somebody's not listening to you or they're just not paying attention to you. Next one. Dreek. The weather is pure dreek out there.
Oh boy, I've heard y'all talk about the weather, and I've never heard you use this. No.
That is incorrect.
Oh.
Dreek.
Oh my
Dreek
gosh.
is a real word. It means
It's like
like
it's like pure Scottish though. Like it's not something that we would use.
no.
Okay.
It just means like absolutely miserable, lashing a rain outside. Just that's what it means. Dreek. Dreek.
A little percent of my percentage of Scottish dies every time I get one right.
So our next one is howling. I opened that bin the other day and it was howling.
I thought that meant laughter. Yeah, I.
So that is correct.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean laugh. It does mean laughter. It does. It's got two meanings. Howling for us means stinking.
Okay.
So I opened that bin the other day and it was stinking. I opened that bin the other day and it was howling. Just means it's like repulsive.
Yeah, it's just.
But we still use it for laughing as well. It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do.
Like he fell over and I was pure howling, man.
We've got loads of words that just go into
I don't
like
know
loads
what
of sentences.
Aye. Somebody needs to have a word with us.
The last one. Grelt. My ma asked me the other day to go to the shop and get me some grelt.
No.
You are correct. That is not a word.
Hey.
And that is I or no. Who do you go?
Hey.
What did they get right? Sean, did you keep score there? I didn't keep score.
Oh, it's
All
your
of them
fucking
correct.
game.
That's crazy.
I think you got 6 out of 8, so that's no bad.
That sounds about right. That sounds
listen,
good.
Look at it. I'm 0.999% Scottish now.
That's good. That was well done,
Hey.
Hoodie. For a first time, I was smashing. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank
Aye.
Listen, I
That's
brewed
done good.
on its way to you somewhere for someday.
Aye. We didn't send it.
You put it in the ocean, it'll wash up on the shore at some point. I'll just walk down the beach. Oh, my winning.
Oh dear. Absolutely. I loved that actually. It was really good. I quite liked Gary. He's been wanting to do that for I don't know about a year, I think. He's been wanting to do some sort of Scottish sayings with Hoodie. So I'm glad we could have Hoodie on, and I'm glad we could get that segment done because by the way, it's harder than it seems. I was thinking a lot of the day for different words for you for the fake words, and it just wasn't coming. It's hard to make up a word that isn't actually already a word. So
Definitely.
no, exactly.
Definitely. I was asking your wife as well, and she literally wrote a word, and I was like, "That's a new word.
Aye,
You've just
aye,
spelled it different."
aye.
And I did the same thing as well. The day I was sitting thinking, I was like, "Oh, that's a word," and then I was like, "No, wait, that is a real Scottish word. What am I talking about? Like, that literally is."
Aye.
It's
I
really
don't
hard.
understand.
I mean, I
We
thought I was going to be absolute yobby at this, but okay.
yes,
6 yobbies out of
yes.
8.
6
I,
yobbies. Aye, well done. What a throwback. So speaking of throwbacks, obviously we do a recurring segment every week, and last week we touched base, and I don't think we really played too much games, but our Gary loves a wee bit of what you've been playing. So Gary, take it away, buddy. What have you been playing since last podcast?
So it's only been a week since the last podcast, so I have only been playing Ghost of Tsushima. And can I just say, I absolutely love this game so much.
How good is it?
Oh, it's
So
so
good.
good. See, going back to it, I was thinking to myself, like, I've platinumed it for PlayStation 4, and I was thinking, how much more can I get out of it? Like, because I've usually got like platinum syndrome, just
Yeah,
can't go back
that's
to
what I'm
games.
nervous about.
Yeah. So I got it with the PlayStation Extra because it's got the Iki Island DLC as well, and
Nice.
it's so good. Honestly, I'm literally doing everything in the map again. It's not even like I'm just missing stuff. I'm doing all the
Aye.
fox dens, everything, but it's just
Yep.
the world. I just love it, and it's just such a beautiful game. And the Iki Island DLC, I've just started it. Started it yesterday. It's really good as well. I'm really enjoying it.
That's good. So
They've
it's worth replaying then for
I
that.
definitely they've done a lot of changes and stuff. Even just like with characters, like see like the guys you fight, like there will literally be a guy that has like a shield, and you knock the shield off him, and then he'll pull out 2 swords, and then you go to hit him with swords, and then he'll be like, oh, and he'll pick up a spear. And I was like, oh, it's just
Nice.
so different, like just a
Yeah, has a
total
good
different
twist.
gameplay. Aye.
Aye, really
And
good
they
twist.
kind of have a mage kind of guy in it as well that kind of puts everybody in like a battle trance. So like their health isn't gone down, so you need to try and get him first as well. So it's really good. The story's really good as well, and it's usual with Ghost of Tsushima. Or
Of course.
the voice acting's incredible. But no,
That's what you want.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I'm at the second bit of the map. Can't remember what that's
But
called, Akirishima or something like that. So I'm in the middle. And started the Iki Island DLC, and I have to say, absolutely loving it again. I'm so glad that I went back to it.
Yeah, that
awesome.
game's absolutely breathtaking.
That's what I was just about to say. Hoodie, have you played it?
Oh yeah, platinumed it, loved every second of it. I mean, when they dropped the Legends mode as like a separate download, that's even incredible. And to think they just made an entirely different game for people to play together, and just were like, "Hey, here, have that. It's free." Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Aye. That was crazy. I mean, me and Gary played that for a wee while actually. When I first started streaming, we played that together, and it's pretty fun. The kind of horde mode that was
Yeah.
what I kind of enjoyed the
Yeah.
most. If I'm honest with you, we played. There was the kind of campaign light, if you want to call it that,
Mhm.
mode. You know, where you do the different scenarios. Wasn't quite as good. I didn't enjoy that as quite as good, but I did really enjoy the horde mode. It was good fun, a nice, easy streaming game as well. If anybody's looking to play the game for the first time, so they said it's a bolt on, it's free, so
Yeah.
I definitely get that checked out.
The amazing thing with Legends was when we played it, like we just played me and him, and it was 2 randoms. And when we were playing it, every match we were getting obviously different people, and everybody knew how to play the game. And that, like we were doing horde modes, and we were getting horde modes. We were getting like pure deep into it. I probably even completed a few of them. It was just so everybody was just so efficient at the actual sword play and the battle systems that it was so fun. It was so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really a blast for especially like a raid genre of a game or horde mode. I think it's by far the best. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not one for. I mean, like let's say like Call of Duty Zombies and things like that. I'm not overly fussed with that kind of thing, but in general, I'm all about that kind of thing. I thoroughly enjoyed it actually. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something. I think down the line I'll maybe play it again. I'm not quite ready yet, but down the line I'll maybe pick it back up again, especially breaking out the PS5 for it. Hoodie, what about yourself, mate? Have you been playing anything good the last couple of weeks?
Well, similar to Ghost of Tsushima, I've been playing golf with your friends.
Oh,
It's
that's obviously
sensible
it's like
title.
chalk and cheese, eh?
Yeah. And let me tell you what, this might be a Game of the Year contender, and who would have thought? It's so much fun. You are playing the ball. You're not a golfer. You are the ball. And I don't know
Yeah,
when this
Right.
game came out, but it's new to me.
yeah.
And, I've been playing it with our good friends Ben. Please be excited, Robin GL, and Jesse, and
Nice.
Matt as well. Just so much fun. You
Aye.
have hours of like you're spending time learning the courses. Sometimes you can learn how to cheese it or do trick shots, and it's like that gets fun where you get competitive with your friends and you're like, oh well, if I bounce it off this wall I could get a hole in one, and if they fail it, you're always shit talking through the entire thing and stuff. It's just a good time.
Aye.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. But also the other game I've been playing that I've absolutely loved was with Mrs. Mac, Escape Academy. We played that on Game Pass. What an incredible game! Very
I've been
fun to play with
excited
friends.
about playing that actually. Even just hearing your two experiences, it's been honestly like just I don't know like who to play it with, but I want to play that game. It seems like it's such a good time.
Oh, it really is. I mean, thankfully, Mrs. Mac, incredibly smart and amazing, and I'm just an idiot. So she was able to carry us through that entire thing. And like she was zipping through puzzles. Like, well, if we go over here, and then oh well, if we deduct this, and it's like all that stuff. But even for, I think, friends or couples getting into it, it's such a good way to like play a co-op game without getting mad at each other because they give you so much time if you want. Like you don't really fail in the game. Like you get a score at the end. You don't care about scores. You
Nah, as
spend
long as you've
hours
escaped,
doing
eh?
that. Yeah, exactly. So even that, I mean, we're gonna go back and try and get all the achievements because it's just so much fun. It's just a blast.
That's cool, man. I quite like the look at it. It was something obviously. I wasn't too obviously. I heard it on kind of funny that they were playing it, but I wasn't too fussed about it. I didn't really pay too much attention. And then as soon as Jelly had mentioned that you were wanting to play it with her, I'd obviously downloaded it for her on the Xbox, and I tried out the first level over what's it called again? Like over Games Pass, like
Yeah,
using my phone, and it was pretty good actually. The first level, I didn't expect it to be like the way it was. It's the hints are like really really tough. They're actually quite they're quite good. Sorry, the clues like there's a hint button, which I
yeah,
end up actually using on the first level because I was like I'm not entirely sure, and the way that the screen was like on the phone, it was quite hard to see everything. So but it wasn't like, oh here, look here, like, it wasn't this is the answer to this the clue. The hint button was literally like, oh why don't you try looking in that bin, like that was
right.
that's the kind of level of hint. So I think it's pretty good. It just kind of takes your hand if you want it, but don't necessarily need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think obviously as the game progresses, it gets harder if you wanted to, but they have such an array of like three key levels where it's okay, you can play this and have fun without any hints, and you don't have to stress about it. And I just I thought they were so good at balancing that. That what you're saying is like just having a hint button that doesn't tell you right off the bat, and also you get three presses. So if it does get too hard, you can press it again and then see what you get, and maybe it helps you out more. But yeah, it was just such a great co-op game. I don't think I've played one that's so. Jillian and I played It Takes Two last a while ago. It feels like last year. I don't know, but
It might
we
be
played.
last year, by the way.
Yeah,
I don't. I think it actually is it? I don't know.
golly,
I think it was.
oof. Yeah, okay. Well, we played that, and that was a co-op game that was fun. But just kept going, and it just never stopped. And Escape Academy does not overstay its welcome, which I thought was really great. Perfect amount of levels.
That's what you want. That's what you want. Something's not too long, especially with that kind of game. I actually expected it to take a wee bit longer for you. No, like to do with like ability or anything like that. I thought it was going to be like like the levels, because I'd heard some of them was like a 40-something minute time limit and stuff. So I was like, oh man, that's going to take a few sessions, because he's only play for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. But no, he's kind of done it in a few sessions, probably maybe between 6 and 8 hours. Is that kind of fair?
Yeah, I think so. We played 2 sessions to beat the whole game, and we flew through it for most of them. I mean, like the ones you're talking about, like they do give you a 40-minute timer on some of these, and when you do beat it under 40, like significantly, you feel the pride of that. You're like, oh man. Of course, it was just Jillian doing it, and I sat in the corner and waited for her to finish it.
Nice. That's some good. It's a good multiplayer games. You play any single player stuff, or is that you?
I started Psychonauts 2, which I'm really enjoying. Haven't gotten far enough to say much about it, but I've been really loving that style. And I played the first one leading into it, and the first one didn't vibe with me. I think it's a great game, but just didn't vibe with me. So then going in the second one and really feeling it for that one, I was like, oh wow, this is made for me. I love this game so far.
See, I've heard people speaking about Psychonauts, and I have no idea what it is. I downloaded it, the second one, I think. I can't remember. I downloaded the second one on Games Pass, and then I think I might have removed it. I can't remember. So I'm not entirely sure what the actual gameplay is, but I'll definitely check it out if you've enjoyed it that much that you played the first right into the second one. So
it's a great mascot platformer.
I don't know what that means.
Ratchet and Clank.
All right,
kind
okay,
of style, yeah.
Right, okay. I'm like, well, I don't understand where does mascot come into this? Right, okay, fair enough. It was just me being silly. All right, cool, man. I quite like that. It's a good, actually quite a bit of variety from what we usually play. So it's good to definitely good to hear. For myself, then I've as Gary said, it's only been a week since we last recorded, so it's quite hard to throw in some games that we've been playing, because I've not managed to get playing anything different. But however, I did jump on a stream with our friend of the show, Andy Mac. We played some Sea of Thieves yesterday over on Twitch, and there's a new update to the game, and season 7's just been rolled out. So we kind of jumped into there, and a couple of the upgrades I'm aware of, I've not fully kind of dived in. So I know that you can now become the captain of your own ship, which obviously seems strange, but that is one person as the captain, and they are the ones who kind of own the ship. You can also name your ship now, and you can kind of decorate the interior. I think it comes in like a whole new host of different skill trees, but different unlockables that I think you need to do certain tasks and level up, and it unlocks different things that you can then put around the ship, really kind of make it your own. So it's pretty cool. Once you've named your ship, you can actually use or you kind of set sail and you use the spyglass, and if you see another ship, their name also comes up on the screen as well. So it's pretty cool, nice touch. Something that I'm definitely going to jump into and play a bit more of soon, so I can get a better idea of the game. I don't know what the battle pass is like. This, or I should say the plunder pass, I think it's called in Sea of Thieves, where you get different unlockables and stuff. So maybe if I'm playing it enough, I'll maybe pick up on that. But yeah, that's everything for myself. I did enjoy it. It's just Sea of Thieves again, but it's something. It's just really addictive to me. I know that me and you've played it a few times a day. It is good fun.
Yeah. Oh, I have a blast in that game. I think it's an understatement for me to say it's probably the most fun I've had playing like a cooperative game that's like super cooperative.
Yeah.
Like you need friends for that, or really, a really good random team. Because
Yeah,
it is great when you have a crew together and you're like, oh, you man this and do that and steer here, and it's so cool. It is such a creative game.
yeah. It's strange because when you're playing it and if you start kind of playing yourself, it's like, right, okay, so I set this sail and I do this anchor and I do this stuff, and nothing ever really becomes kind of tedious, but it just becomes kind of laboursome when you are trying to do everything, like cover all the bases. It's like that
Yeah.
old Bugs Bunny sketch, he's running in between all the different bases. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not quite as good as when you jump on and there's maybe two or three even, but if most of the time I'm kind of playing with one other, so you jump on and you're down maybe putting something on the frying pan, or you're sorting a couple of things into baskets, and the other person's like, right, they've lifted anchor and they've pointed you in the right direction and put the sails up and whatever else. Like, it's quite good to have that kind of level where both of these are kind of doing something on the ship to make things a wee bit easier for everybody. So it's such a strange thing. I seen Andy playing this last year, and it probably is one of the major driving forces behind me getting an Xbox, if I'm honest. Besides Game Pass, it's definitely one of the best kind of multiplayer games I've played, just for the same reason you said today. It's just fun. Just it doesn't take itself too seriously. There's no Everybody's kind of created equal. It's just
Yeah.
really you've got such a low kind of health that if you run into another player, it's really just comes down to chance. So rather than skill or people buying their way into better guns and anything, everybody is just get all the same stuff. It's just different skins. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty cool. Really into it, and I'll check back in. I'm sure next recording, when the only game I've played was that time I played Sea of Thieves the other week. Anyway, so I'll not keep the Disney fans on the edge of their seats any longer. We'll get right into the main segment, which is obviously our top 5 favourite Disney films. We'll obviously each take it in turn to go around from 5 until 1. Gary is awfully nervous because he's not been ranking his. He's literally just done it last minute. Me and Hoodie, we've had our lists ready for weeks now. So
you mean Hoodie has?
Hoodie definitely has. I
I
have
mean,
not.
years.
Yep, exactly. Hoodie created his list 10 years ago and he just updates it. And I was frantically writing mine 2 hours ago. So, Gary, number 5, why don't you set us off? We'll go for your 5.
So number 5 for me is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
All right.
It's an absolute staple in my house. We watch it always in October, like the run up to Halloween. It's for us. I love it. Good film, amazing songs in it. The soundtrack's amazing. Love the kind of claymation kind of art of it. The characters are brilliant, and it's just got that dark kind of feel to it. It's got a Tim Burton trademark on it. Just absolutely love it. It's a great film.
Nice. I don't know why. I never thought of that as being the. I know it is, but I just never, for some reason, thought of that as being um
Disney.
anything to do with Disney. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know
it's
why.
it's a bit strange, isn't it? It's when I was looking at the lists the other day, and I was looking at all the films, and I seen it, and I was like, I just can't not put that in the list. Like, it's not your typical Disney film to put on a list, but for my own personal taste, excuse me, it's just something that's as I said, it's an absolute staple in my house. We always watch it, probably about 5 times a year, just in October. It's been quite good the last couple of years. Obviously, with COVID, the last couple of years, we actually made it was like a wee cinema night for Halloween instead of like taking the kids out. So we were actually watching it on Halloween night. So it was quite nice for the last couple of years. My daughter absolutely loves it as well. I think it's quite good for her age because it's kind of like baby's first horror as well, because that is a bit creepy. But she likes it as well, so it's not all bad.
Well, it's
No, it
such a
definitely isn't it?
standout in their catalog.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
I mean, also just the achievement it is as far as film making goes. Like, what a standout production. There had been tons and tons of like stop motion before this, but this was like on a scale that was unheard of. I mean, we have James and the Giant Peach later on, and they're all amazing, but Nightmare Before Christmas is one of those standout films that has just transcended every generation. It just keeps going,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's so impactful to so many people. But yeah, it's a beautiful movie.
yeah, definitely. Totally agree.
I could sit and listen to Hoodie talk for ages, man. And sometimes I just wish I wasn't in this podcast. I was just listening to it. I was just listening to it because I was literally going to because it was good. I mean, I've totally kind of ruining the whole vibe of this here, but I was literally ready to throw it to Hoodie. Go, what did you think of the film, Hoodie? And he just did it. He just did it. I think you have to say it.
He's a pro.
He's a pro, resident expert, better at podcasting than us. Confirmed.
That's that. Get us cancelled.
Absolutely.
Hoodie's compliment corner starts now. You two are so amazing at what you're doing on this podcast. By the way.
Thanks,
Let me
buddy.
tell you what, I love listening to you every week. It's so wonderful. Both of you have great podcast voices too. Like they're just so soothing and relaxing and fun, and your camaraderie is amazing. And you'll probably cut this out, But let me tell you what, you're incredible at what you're doing, and I love listening to it. Truly an amazing podcast.
Oh, thanks very much.
I appreciate
Thank
that. Yeah, thanks, buddy. I'll definitely keep that in because the less editing, the better for me. So
good, perfect placement then.
Yeah, we'll hand over to our resident expert in all things Disney for his number 5. So Hoodie, take it away, buddy.
Now, I want to start by saying, first of all, listen, I
Oh.
love that everybody has their own opinions on movies, and you could all enjoy your own thing, and you don't have to go and tear anybody else down, all right? Everybody gets their own opinion and enjoyment in whatever they have. That being said, I'm going to take the piss out of Gary's list. I'm going to go so hard on Gary right now. No. I really do love hearing what everybody else loves, and having that conversation is like such a life fuel for me. So thank you for having me on this specific topic of a podcast.
Couldn't have thought of anybody else to do this way, buddy. That's for sure.
Thank you very much. I do have a few honorable mentions that aren't going to make the list, but I just wanted to throw out there for people that might have not watched these. Atlantis and the Lost Empire, great film. If you haven't seen it, all of these are on Disney Plus. This is not an ad. Nobody's sponsored here, but if you do want to sponsor us, Disney, please, I'm begging you. I will do anything. I will be the biggest shill you've ever had. Now, hear me out. Atlantis and the Lost Empire, incredible movie, beautiful animation, like just a stunning movie. Other than that, we've got Oliver and Company. Love that movie as a kid. It's a great tale about just, kind of the outcasts of their world, animals living on the streets of New York. It's a musical. It's fun. I like it. Black Cauldron, the movie that almost got Disney bankrupt. It's such a
wow.
Listen, I'm the only person that likes this movie. I acknowledge that. I had a good time with it. It feels like an 80s movie set in like the Sword in the Stone kind of world. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy it. Other than that, we've got Big Hero 6, Raya and the Last Dragon, Tarzan, and Mulan. All great. All on Disney Plus now.
It's crazy the amount of films that's there at our fingertips, man. And honestly, I'm sitting over here watching Big Timber on Netflix, a show about logging timber, man.
Do you know the thing is, even like my daughter, I'm always saying to her, I'm like, you've got Netflix, you've got Amazon, and you've got Disney, and you want to watch somebody opening a toy on YouTube. It's like, what the hell, man?
I don't get it. I don't get it whatsoever.
They'll just never beat YouTube.
No, you would never, absolutely never. But listen, I did appreciate I didn't really think to compile. I did have a couple. I'll save them to later. But I did have a few that just missed out on the list. I'll tease them out later just in case other people might have them. But I did actually, honestly, like, I was going to start writing some of the films then that you were recommending there, because I'm like, oh, obviously, like, Hoodie's got some decent taste. But I started typing, and then you just started speaking faster than I could fucking type. So I'll get them off you later.
Yeah, I'll copy and paste it.
Absolutely. I'd love to get that and put it on the Discord for me to catch up with later. But yeah, sorry. So, I'll kind of pass it back to you then for your number 5, mate.
Listen, I told you, put up the hands anytime I've derailed the entire conversation.
No, man, I love it.
Okay, so my number 5 is one that I can't wait for Gary's reaction, because I already know it. Number 5 is Ratatouille. Now, I want to start by saying the little fun statistics that I have here and little facts are all from IMDb or Box Office Mojo. So take them with a grain of salt. I don't know if you believe those sites or not, but it was released in 2007, directed by Brad Bird, who later directs other incredible movies and has already directed an incredible movie. That's a pun right there. That's a pun. You'll understand it later. It had a box office of $623 million.
Wow.
Which is incredible for the work that went into this movie. Which, I mean, talk about a movie that understands food. I feel like I'm not a chef, right? But I've watched enough chef shows in my lifetime to be able to cook. So I watch this movie and I just see the passion and love and adoration they have for that community and that industry, and how they utilize so much of the kitchen to work as if it's almost a musical, and how much rhythm you have to have in the kitchen when you're working as a crew and everybody's passing and going and you all have to work in synchronous. It's so beautiful how they bring that to life in Ratatouille in a way that I think most live action films can't even capture. And I love the way they explore Paris and how they see it in this lens of the people living there more than the romantic version you always see, like, oh, the Eiffel Tower and all that. It's like people enjoying food, people talking, people just being in that world, I think is so beautiful to watch. And I love all the characters as well, which is, I think some of their best work in dialogue of just people having a conversation about their passions or about their loves or anxieties or what have you. I also think the way they bring their message through, because I think Pixar can tend to be like, doesn't this make you sad? Aren't you sad about this? Where I feel like Ratatouille makes you more heartwarmed. You're at the end feeling a sense of hope than dread or a sense of beauty that makes you cry, rather than, oh, I watched somebody's partner die or this kid's toys get set on fire. So I feel like Ratatouille does just a great job at bringing an emotion the way you can through a passion. It's just a beautiful movie.
Do you know, it's funny, I know I've seen it at least once, and I'm sure I did enjoy it. I loved all the kind of sewer stuff. When they're kind of going through all the system, and I think they kind of find, is it eventually they kind of find the community that's down there, and then it kind of goes through there, if I'm remembering correctly. But,
I think you're thinking of Flushed Away.
That's it. That's the best film. That's the best film. No,
Right.
I know I've seen it. Clearly, I can't remember half the film, but I know.
To your credit, there is a sewer scene and there is a community in that sewer.
Oh, okay,
right.
Maybe.
So maybe I'm right. Okay, maybe. So I just have to watch it again. So how do you put that on the list for the stuff I need to watch?
It's on the list. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny listening to Hoodie talk about Ratatouille, because I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times and I didn't take anything away for that. Like I'm just like, this is just about a rat that wants to cook food. That's literally what I took away from it.
Yeah.
Hoodie's obviously so much deeper than I'll ever be, and that's just at the end of
Yep.
that.
Yep. This is Hoodie's podcast. We just live in it.
That's it. We're getting up. We're just going to be co-hosts for now on. This is going to be Hoodie the Vault Dwellers podcast for now on.
Sold. Here's the keys. No, I did like that. I like the insights, Hoodie, that you bring for films like this,
Yeah,
because on the front it is a rat. It is a rat that wants to cook, but there is obviously so much more to it, and I think people listening to that kind of thing, and then going back and watching this film and probably the rest of the ones that you bring to the fold, will maybe have a different appreciation for the films as well. So yeah, I did appreciate that. It's more in depth than I'll probably ever be with any film actually, but with the films that I've kind of chosen, but it's absolutely perfect. And honestly, like I don't know anybody that speaks with as much kind of passion for these films other than yourself. So it's definitely a testament for why we chose you to come on here. So Ratatouille, that's a good one for to come out the gateway. I never it's weird, I kind of know that I didn't see it coming, but I just never thought about it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people think about Ratatouille, which is a fair thing. I mean, I think I'm the only person who's legitimately loved this movie the way I have. I'm definitely, it's the most watched Pixar movie that I've ever watched. I've seen it 23, 24 times.
Wow.
I love the history of how they made it. I think the amount of time they spent just shadowing chefs and going to Paris and understanding what it is to be there and being immersed really paid off for this movie. So I love it, and it means a lot that I can talk about it. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's you've spoke about it to the point that I want to go and watch it. So that's I don't know. I'm easily led though. I should start with that, because if somebody said to me to go and read the Bible, I'd go and read it tomorrow. So just take my enthusiasm with a pinch of salt. I'll be back watching Big Timber tomorrow. So no, I'll definitely check that out, mate.
Well, welcome back to Hoodie's Compliment Corner. Let me tell you what, on your top games list, Gary did that for me, and I think that's a testament to what you two do. Gary made me go back and play Hitman, and I really love that game. It is very fun. And
that's good.
Also, if you haven't listened to it, listen to it. It's an amazing podcast.
Yeah, go and like it.
Yeah, go like, subscribe, share, do all of it. It's great.
And come back here.
Yeah.
It's a good episode.
It's
dead short, really short. Don't look at the timer. Just our longest one yet. All right, okay, that's good. A good number 5. Good start. Good strong start with the two films. And honestly, man, I'm so nervous about my list, because you could probably you could probably shut your eyes and just touch my ones, because it's just so easy. They're so predictable. So I'll just get right in it, because honestly, there's no build up for mine. But what I did for my list, I literally, honestly, about 7-8 o'clock, so a few years ago, I just brought up a big list of the Disney films, went through them all, wrote so many of them down, and then just switched the order a bit, and then that was it. That was me. That's about as much as I'd done. So apologies. I'm not the biggest Disney fan, but I was, which is probably going to be clearly shown by this list. So I've come at the gate. I don't know why I've talking down this film, because it's fucking brilliant, but I'm coming out this with the Gateway film from 1997. I'm going to go for Hercules as my number 5. I just loved it, absolutely loved it. I don't have as much facts and insights as Hoodie. Literally just, I think mostly from memories and stuff younger. I think it probably ties in a lot with the fact that I had the game as well on PlayStation. It's just that kind of nostalgia feeling for me. The everything from that kind of typical kind of Disney style art or whatever. Just I don't know, it just kind of speaks volumes that they can take such a, a classic tale, like everybody's heard of Zeus and all that kind of stuff, like, and just put that bit to it where you've got, I don't know, it's just a brilliant film. It's funny. It has that kind of, when I know back in the day, like when they switched and had all the kind of scenes, that are a wee bit kind of darker or whatever. Like it's such a big kind of contrast when it kind of jumps to the kind of Hades stuff. And then obviously as it gets near the end of the film, like it ramps up in style with the kind of the whole Titans kind of vibe that comes for it. I don't know. I just think like every scene, there's so many like iconic parts of that film. Between the three-headed dragon thing, I had toys of that, like that dragon, like for back in the day. I don't know. It just one of the things, like when if somebody was to say to me, like that's probably the bulk of this list. Like if somebody was to say to me, "Do I watch this film?" I'd be like, "Fucking put it on." Like it's just I wouldn't say no to these films. That's why I've kind of stuck it on there, because I don't know. It's just a good film, and it's probably just tickles a wee nostalgia bone, which is probably the backbone of this podcast, if I'm honest with you.
I mean, it is on my list,
Hey.
and it is incredible. Again, I'm going to use that word so much because I love this movie so much. It's so beautiful. And I don't know if I'm supposed to do the deep dive now or later on, but let me tell you
No,
what.
no, crack on. No, you go. It's good. All good.
This movie has such a great blend, because they do it in Beauty and the Beast, but here I just thought they did an incredible job
Mm-hmm.
of blending that traditional 2D animation in with CG slowly as Disney starts building towards what they are today, and what they're able to achieve. I thought the fight between, it's not the Cerberus, I'm also going to, the Hydra, the fight between the Hydra and Hercules, what you're talking about with the multiple
Yep.
heads, is like so beautiful and breathtaking, where you get down to watching this hero who just can't quite get to be a hero. I think it does that Rocky story so well, and
Yep.
it pays homage to Rocky while taking great notes from that movie of, here's this guy who slowly is building up to who he wants to be, to find himself, and he gets lost in the money and doesn't realize what it really means to be a hero. And you're watching him get beat down and just pummeled by the Hydra, and it's like such a heroic moment when he's down on the ground and you're just seeing him and you're like, oh, come on, get up, get up, get up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like
Yep.
slowly lifting up from the head and tossing in, rides Pegasus and goes around on his sword. And like, it's such a great fantasy epic. It's so great. I love the way they incorporate the gods. I love all the personalities and how distinct they are. The vibrant colors
Yeah.
of this movie is just wow. It is a beautiful movie to look at. Like, just frame by frame, I could put anything on my wall and I'd be like, yeah, that's 100%. Give me that. I love the cast of this movie. Danny DeVito as Phil is one of the best castings in Disney.
Agreed.
He's such a, like, what a perfect person to play that kind of Mickey role
Yeah.
from
It's
Rocky.
total grumpiness in it, but that mix
Oh,
with
yeah.
that kind of comedy in it, comedy
Yeah.
side of it. Like that was actually something I was going to mention, was that was Danny DeVito, and I'm like, was it fucking Danny DeVito though? And I'm like, maybe I should just leave it, because I was like, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure. I was like, Joe,
Yeah.
I'll just leave it, but no, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, he is such an embodiment of this guy who, I also love how they paint him as this guy who was burnt. Like, it wasn't just he was this kind of a dickhead. He had a reason to be a dickhead. He failed and he felt that failure and it carried on with him. And Hercules comes along and, you see hope, but you've been betrayed by it before, but somehow it still seeps into your bones and you're like, fuck, I feel it. Maybe I need to give this another shot. And I love that relationship that they have. I think also this movie has the best Disney villain out of any of the villains, and I think Hades is phenomenal. What an incredible performance by the actor in this role, and I think the way they play him in such almost like I know he's a villain, but you kind of like he's just so sad. He's just a sad guy, you know.
Yeah.
It's just you kind of like, yeah, I don't want you to win, but you know, like
Aye, but if you did,
I
it
feel
wouldn't be
bad
the
for
end
you.
of the world.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
would,
yeah. I
but
feel
it
bad.
wouldn't.
I get it. You were betrayed by your brother. It's sad. This guy's had a rough life, but I think, yeah, I mean, the cast is incredible, and the way they use the gods and their humor and uh, just how they play in that world, I don't think has ever been topped with any Greek mythology I've watched in a long time. So I love that movie so much.
Yeah, I'm
Also,
glad you kind of put you weighed in on that. To be honest with you, because I probably did that. I did deserve it, to be fair.
Not at all.
well, the directing duo on this one, what a list of movies, by the way. They were behind Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, The Great Mouse Detective, Treasure Planet, one that's beloved by myself, Robin, and Jesse. I mean, just an insane directing duo behind it
Aye.
as well, which proves like, wow, what creative geniuses were at that studio at that time, and
Yeah.
how much they were able to, I mean, form an entire childhood in myself, and I think many others. So.
Aye,
Yeah.
I'm definitely. I'm gonna probably go on a Disney binge watch list after this. Probably starting with our lists. To be fair,
Listen, Disney,
um,
not sponsored, but Disney Plus does have an entire Disney animation collection where they go from beginning to end of what's on their list. So
there you go. See, there you
they've
go.
already
Could even
created the
do.
binge watch for you.
There you go. I could even do it in order. That's
Yep.
perfect.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely perfect for me.
Yep.
Mr. Gary Moore, your number 4, please.
So my number 4 is Up.
Oh,
Very
Uh,
nice.
absolutely love this film. It was one that me and my wife seen when we were younger. She still worked in the Odeon at the time, which is a cinema here. So we went to go and see this, and it's just a film that's always kind of stuck with us.
mm,
It's a great wee story, very sad at the start, um, and then just continues to this big adventure. Love the characters, Mr. Fredrickson, the wee old guy, exactly what I always love in anything, just the wee old
mm.
grumpy man. I just love grumpy characters because that's probably just what I'm like. Um, and
Probably.
aye. And then he's stuck with this little wilderness explorer, Russell, and they go on this big grand adventure to South America, and a floating house. Just absolutely love this film. What the key you say about it, it's the animation's absolutely beautiful. I've written about it. The way the characters are designed, it's not a typical Disney-esque looking film. Um, it's just, it's so good. It's such a good film.
It's
Yeah.
strange to know. It's one of the films that I don't think I've. Well, actually, I know I've not seen it. I've spoke to a few people about it. I think I had mentioned to Gillian about watching it once, but she she didn't want to watch it because she knows obviously there's this like the sad bit at the start and whatever else, and
Yeah.
she obviously has a soft spot for like the kind of like when you see like. So she sees like an old person on their own kind of thing, like or just her heart melts for that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
she's just never had that inclination to watch it with me. So maybe someday I'll maybe just kind of pluck it out and watch it myself.
It's the first.
Yeah.
It's the first Disney film I've ever seen like adults crying. Like I remember being at the cinema and like that first. What I don't even know how long it is. It's maybe like 5 minutes. And there was literally like I could hear everybody in the Odeon like,
Aye.
you know.
Trying to like ruffle their popcorn at the
Aye,
same time,
aye,
but
and there was loads of them, and I turned around to my wife, which was my girlfriend at the time, and she was crying, and I'm like, that was like absolutely just pull it on your heartstrings, man. That opening sequence, uh,
Oh God.
but it's such a good, it's like that. You get that first 5 minutes, which is absolutely like so sad and like blue feeling, and then the rest of the journey is just up and up and up.
nice, very well, very
Love the
good use
fun.
of words there.
Love the fun.
So what you're
Yeah.
saying is I have to start at minute like 6 or something like that, then, and then just
No,
kind of
no,
go
you,
for
you
there.
just need to watch it start and just have a wee tear in your eye and just
Oh yeah.
continue.
I think Pete Docter does something here that's so beautiful as bringing almost like a storybook to life, where you're just watching it, and it's this small, intimate tale within a small space in a big world, and it feels so close to home and can relate to a lot of people. I know when I watched it, I had a wonderful relationship with my grandpa, so
Yeah.
it was very impactful for me to watch that. And I remember just sitting in theaters, just fucking bawling my eyes out, like, oh man, wow, okay. Also, just like the cast of characters and the in-world building that they do with like the pulp comics of Carl's childhood and loving that stuff and growing up to really believe in adventure is out there and
Yeah.
all that stuff. It does such a great job at being this intimate story that really speaks volumes with little to do.
Did you have that on your list?
It is not on my list, no.
Did you just
Just
plucked
those
all
other
the
stuff.
names? Did you just pluck all the
Oh,
names for this
yeah,
year?
yeah. Say again?
Did you just pluck those names out? Do you just know those people already?
Yeah. Oh, well, I think Pete Docter is an incredible director at Pixar. So I love what he
Honestly,
created.
it astounds me how some people know all these things. Like, I don't even know who directed like my actual favorite film of all time. Like, I've no idea. I'm so oblivious to anything. So I hats off to you, buddy, because you'd
Thank
think
you.
that you'd done research on all your picks as well. Because I would never have known. I'd never have known the names. So aye. Hoodie, your number 4, man.
My number 4 is a movie that I love a lot. I love the characters a lot. I think that's why I love this movie so much. Is Lilo and Stitch, directed by Chris Sanders and Dean. I'm gonna mess up your last name. DeBlois, DeBlois, one of those names.
Listen, if you say it with enough confidence, it's true. So
DeBlois. That's what I'm
There
gonna
we
that's
say.
it.
go.
Spot on. Well done. Well played.
Released in 2002, had a box office of 273 million, which, there's another 2D animation that follows this one, but this was the beginning of the end of like, oh, okay, Disney's moving on. We're not gonna stick in this style anymore, which I think also was a thing that made this movie stand out to me. Of man, I miss that pocket of Disney where it's like there's something so tangible about the way they drew those characters, the way they animated.
Yeah.
I love modern Disney animation as well, but not nearly to the extent that they were with the style that they had created. I mean, again, blending 2D and CG animation to create a lot of Hawaii and bring that world to life, I thought was so well done. I really love the way they use space as almost like an aesthetic more than a thing that matters. I always find that fun where, yeah, this world has magic, but it's not about magic. Yeah, this world has aliens, but it's not about aliens. It's really about family. And I think this movie does family so well. And like the frustrations of family are so well depicted in here. And the hardships of dealing in a relationship where it is just two people. Like you only have each other to lean on. And although I don't have siblings, I understand what that kind of connection is, where it's two people against the world, and maybe you're at a high and the other person's at a low, and the other person's is a high and you're at a low. And the way they depict that throughout that with Lilo and Nani is so sweet and heartwarming and frustrating and really well done. The directors behind this, also an incredible list. Uh, Dean went on to work with How to Train Your Dragon, that franchise. Chris Sanders, the voice of Stitch, which is pretty great, the co-director on this movie. But I think they did something so magical about making Hawaii feel similar to what I spoke on Ratatouille. It feels like a place about people more than a place that is romanticized. I think that always matters to me when I watch a movie,
Yeah.
where I want to see what that world actually is through the eyes of people who are from there, and them going and studying and learning. You can't live there and know an entire culture, but the best you can do. And I thought they did a beautiful job with what they were able to do in a Disney film. as well. So I love that. I think the humor is great. I do love the story. I love all the external characters like Pleakley and Jumba. I like the way they utilize them as comedic effect, but also have that moment to ground them and make you understand why they are the way they are. Like Jumba's distress and his betrayal of the corporation and kind of being this mad scientist character, but also trying to create something of a family himself. It's all
Mm.
like this movie really lives and dies on the word family. So much of it. And I think Stitch is I, I Roger Rabbit's my favorite character in any Disney, but Stitch is close second. Where
He's
it's
up there.
yeah, he's such a wonderful character of not it's the fish out of water story that
Mhm.
plays so well to his character of not only is he fish out of water, but he's a scientist's experiment gone wrong. So
Yeah.
now he doesn't even fit in any world. So really, he's a fish with no water anywhere, and it's similar parallel to how Lilo is experiencing life and being bullied, and her best friend's a fish who lives underwater and she gives peanut butter to. And like her other best friend is a rag doll, and it's like that connection. And I think I obviously I connect to a lot of movies that are about outcasts, and I like that coming together. And yeah, no, they're not getting along, but they're trying to understand each other. And then the build up and how it gets to the crescendo of this whole thing of no, I'd go to the ends of the universe to save you now is really beautiful. I mean, Ohana means family, and family means nobody gets left behind. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think this movie is beautiful and I love it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's another one of the films that I've definitely seen, and but it's so long ago. I seen it on the list, and it's not that I deliberately put it on it. I know that I enjoyed it when I seen it. It's no, so I would just it wasn't a contender for me. But it's like far beyond levels of cute. You know, it's probably speaks volumes to how much it's kind of stood the test of time as well. I think
Mhm.
you still see it to this day. You know,
Yeah.
it's one of the leading brand kind of
Oh yeah.
um, toys and
Mm-hmm.
things on bags and whatever else. Like it's
Oh,
just
absolutely.
it captures that kind of imagery. Obviously, Stitch just has that kind of craziness about it, and then you obviously that kind of blend a cuteness from the both of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely been a good product for Disney. Just
Oh,
speaking it for that side.
for sure. Speaking, yeah, with marketing, one of the greatest marketing campaigns I have ever seen. And I was a kid, and this movie is what made me fall in love with like posters and understanding how that can change an entire view of a movie. The like
Mm-hmm.
for the promos they had, it was Stitch invading other Disney movies. So he was attacking the entire set of Beauty and the Beast when they're doing like Tale as Old as Time, that whole scene, and he charges in there and screws up that entire dance scene. There were other ones. He had a poster where all the Disney characters were just scared shitless looking at him as he was sitting in the middle of the poster. It was great. Just a really fun marketing campaign as well.
He has that kind of cute but deadly vibe about him.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, similar to that I can't remember the name of the character, but in Futurama, Leela has that pet,
Oh, yeah.
and it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
it just
Yeah,
sits
yeah.
there on the seat,
Yeah.
and it's just completely innocuous. You know, you wouldn't think anything of it, and then they turn away and they turn back in, and he's like, "Ate the fucking ship" or something. Like it's just
Yeah.
he just has that side to him where he's just it's it's not on the surface, but in there somewhere is absolute craziness.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect shout, mate.
Oh, yeah. 626. Shout him out.
I have to say, for me, that's one that I've just totally missed. Like in Disney, there was like this kind of period in Disney. It was kind of like the same time as like that Atlantis film came out,
Mhm.
Lilo and Stitch. They were all kind of near the same time, and that was this a bit in my Disney knowledge that I've just totally missed.
Yeah.
Um, and I've just never seen the films. I've never seen Atlantis. Never seen the Treasure Planet. I've never.
Oh,
I think it was just that I would just get that age that it was just
yeah.
out cartoons. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
they just all
Yeah.
Aye.
started to come out. I've just
Yeah.
never went back. And I always hear people like, "Oh, they're amazing. This is amazing. That's amazing." And I'm like, I need to watch them one day, but I'll get there.
Well,
I
now
think
for
it helped me
$7.99 a
having a
month,
younger sister.
you can subscribe to Disney Plus, and
Mm,
it's a good, not
absolutely.
sponsored,
If we're not
but
sponsored by
No,
this end of
yeah.
this episode, I'm telling you.
no. And if there's anything, you can just start with this list and work your way down. I mean, that's so.
Yeah.
We should actually have our own Disney. If you're listening, we should have our own sub bit as soon as you log in, and it's just our list. And it's 5, and it just in order. We should be getting that our own
Yeah.
collection.
Yeah.
Hashtag you heard it here first. Yeah, so that's a good one. Nice strong number 4 for both you guys. Again, I've went back in time. So you can probably see the vibe of what I'm bringing to this table here, all of the typical numbers. But I won't take it away from myself because I still believe that these films deserve their place on the table, on the league table, if you like. But for my number 4, I'm going to go for the Lion King. As my number 4. Obviously, the fucking proper Lion King. I've not seen the new Lion King. I
So the
denounced the
2019
new
one.
Lion King. I
That's the one you're on
denounce.
your list.
That's exactly. No, whatever this. I'm not even paying attention to that one. No, this one is I don't know. Again, I think it's just that link of, being a kid, and we had a very limited amount. If you're young and you're listening to this for some reason, don't know how you found this, but if you're listening to this, we had these things called VHSs where you had the tape and you only had about 5 of them, and you had the same films that you would watch over and over again. And apart from the Snowman, rest in peace, the boy that made that, because he passed away unfortunately this week. But apart from the Snowman, this was probably one of my most watched, VHSs. It was just one of the things that I just, everything about it, between the music, like I think that's probably one of the first like films that spoke to me, because when I was too young to probably understand that whole vibe that music would give to you as you're older. But the music in this, there's just so many different different segments in this film. A circle of life, like that whole thing. Like when you're watching it as an adult now, like it just, I don't know, it just brings. I could probably bring a tear to your eye watching a film like this. And then obviously you've got that whole kind of comedic vibe with Timon and Pumbaa and stuff like that, where it's just that whole Hakuna Matata, like that's quoted far into the modern day. Like it's beyond belief that the whole how much this film has probably just stayed in relativity for what it is. Obviously it's a big Disney title, but at the same time it's just one of those it's just one of the films that when you watch it when you're young, there's it's quite a simple storyline in itself. There's no a lot of too kind of deep stuff, but there is a kind of a side to it, the emotional side. I think kind of got unlocked to me as you get older. Obviously, when you kind of he's his dad's obviously died and everything else. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just one of those films that there's different levels to it. Depending on the kind of age and time that you're watching it. I feel anyway.
Oh yeah, the relevancy of it just stands the test of time. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't watch this movie and not feel something towards it, especially with the music. I think what you touched on, it probably has one of the, if not the best soundtracks in all of Disney. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what an incredible list of music. Elton John just knocking it out of the park with so much involvement in this, and a real, again, a real beauty for understanding uh, what the ecosystem of the animal kingdom can mean and how it can work. And yeah, they're all cartoons, but you get the sense of, well, this party respects this party is here. It's a very interesting Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's so beautifully done. Yeah, a really beautiful movie.
That opening sequence, I mean, still to this day, I mean, I'm like 30 years old and I still get like goosebumps to the back of my neck every time I hear that opening
Aye.
Circle of Life.
Yeah.
Like, every time
Aye.
it's just one of these songs that you just feel like it's hard to explain. Other than
Aye.
that, you just literally can feel that song,
Yeah.
and you can't help but belt it out. It's great as worse as you can, you know. I totally agree with you. I think a lot of these films, you know, if you've watched them when you're a child or younger or older, like no, the same age, and you watch them again later on, like you do take a lot of different stuff away from it. You see a lot of different stuff as well. There's a few of them in my list that I think that, and I think you're totally right with Lion King. You know, yeah, you watch it when you're younger and you're like, oh, it's just a bit of lion. Like that's kind of about it. And then, as you say, you watch it when you're older, and they're like, "Oh, there's actually like family conflict in this," and
Aye.
he loses his dad, and it's about him trying to grow up to become the king, but he doesn't really know who he is or where he actually comes from. And he's got these
Aye.
pals that he shouldn't really be pals with if you're going like feeding the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's a great film. It's definitely deserved to be in somebody's list. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Aye, thanks. Do you know what? It's weird. I actually didn't realise the when I'm just looking at the list, the cast list. I was looking earlier, and did not realise that it was James Earl Jones that does Mufasa.
So
Didn't
good.
realise.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that another cast that's just incredible.
Aye.
yeah.
Aye, he's
Fantastic.
spot on with that pick. As in James Earl Jones. I'm not complimenting my own pick on the list. Just
But also spot on with yours.
no, just to get
Yeah,
it out there. I'm not. My ego's not quite at that level yet, I'm afraid. So yeah, that was a good all rounder. I think quite good, close in styles there. Number 3, Gary Moore.
So my number 3 is Pinocchio.
Oh man,
This is probably the first Disney film that I ever watched. I have memories of it back when I first watched it, and it's a film I watch every couple of years. It's a film like you were saying with Lion King. You know, the many times you watch it, you're just getting different stuff here. You know, you watch it when you're younger, and you're just like, "This is just about a puppet," and he's just to try to live a life, like try to go and become a real boy and do whatever else, just to get himself out of trouble. But then when you watch it, you start to realise it's kind of about him trying to grow up and try to. It's kind of like Stitch as well. He's trying to fit into a world that he doesn't really know how to fit into. You know, he's a talking puppet in a world of real people, even though there's like foxes and stuff like that. But anyway, they talk. But, but
that's all right. Move on.
that's all right. But yeah, it's it's a great art for Disney. You know, it's total. This is what they were known for many years. This classic
Yep.
style. The music as well in it, like that opening sequence with the I can't remember what she's called, something fairy.
Mhm.
You know that. I mean, Disney still use that to this day. That open wee tune, "Wish
Yeah.
Upon a Star." You know, it's such a classic.
Aye.
It's totally transcended this movie and still continues in Disney all of these years later. Nearly
Yeah.
probably about 70, 80 years later.
Aye.
But it's great. The characters are brilliant as well. You know, like Geppetto. Geppetto is this old guy who just wants a son, just wants somebody in his life,
Yep.
and just gets Pinocchio, and then Pinocchio gets lost, and it's you know what watching it when you're a bit older, you're like I don't know if that's a wee bit creepy, like because he kind of gets kidnapped and gets took away with all the other bad boys, and then it gets put with the bad boys that are all like smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol and stuff like that. And you're a bit like, wait, is this a kid's film?
Aye.
But do you know what?
Aye.
As a kid, you don't even that totally goes right over you. It's just like, all right, they're just being bad. Like that's
Aye.
exactly what you think, and then they become donkeys if they're going to be bad. But watch it
Aye.
as an adult, you're like, wait, they're like drinking and smoking and what the hell, man?
Aye.
But aye, it's also the whale, this full whale sequence is brilliant. For Geppetto getting it to like Pinocchio trying to find them and they're trying to get away from him.
Aye.
That's such a good good ending.
Talk about iconic, that scene. Obviously, he has the wee lantern thing, doesn't he? When he's inside,
blowing the smoke,
and it's just
Yeah.
it's just perfect. Just as you say, one of the most iconic things. I think the thing that we just mentioned, Geppetto, like never, you don't see it. It's a rare moment in film that you see so much joy shown in a scene for such an emotional thing. Where in Geppetto, when he first realizes that he's a boy and he's jumping about and he's dancing about, like
yeah,
that's just that's like a higher level of storytelling when you can kind of convey that and put that out there. And I can't remember, like, what's the grasshoppers. Is it a
Jiminy.
grasshopper? Then
Jiminy
Jiminy
Cricket.
Cricket, that's it.
cricket. Sorry, it is a cricket. Of course, he is. Like that whole story, like arc and all that, and showing like he's like, 'cause obviously everything's like much smaller. I feel like his perspective, like how they jump perspectives and stuff like that, is that's a really good shout.
Yeah, I think this plays into the rest of your list as well, that you've done so perfectly, of kind of having a very specific theme in Disney animation of they capture a pop-up book or a storybook so well with the three movies you've picked, where they're in a bigger world, but they're such an intimate story. And I think this one plays into that as well, of it's so well done in telling just this moral, like a Aesop fable style story, where you're just listening and understanding, and maybe as a kid it goes over your head, but it's just enough where you understand what's going on, like you're saying. And I think the moral of the story is so well told as well, without being like, listen, if you do this, I think Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at Disneyland is a good example of a story where you screwed up, well, you're going to hell. I'm like, oh, let's let up a little bit here. Where this one's like, yeah, he did something, but you can reverse it. Like, yeah, he's lying and his nose is growing, but he can fix this. It's not the end if you do something horrible.
Yeah.
Not horrible, but if you're a bad kid, you're not doomed for the rest of your life, which I thought was a great way to tell that, like, moral tale. So, yeah, really wonderful film.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
It's up there with the best storytelling, I think, and just as the points we kind of touched on, there's a lot of good iconic scenes across the board for Pinocchio. So it's probably another film that's lost in my memory banks in terms of if I was to think of a Disney film to watch again. So I'm starting to get, as each like suggestion comes out the hat, I'm like, do you know what? I should go and watch that film. Like I don't know what I don't generally know when I'll find the time to watch any of these, but my intention is there. I firmly, honestly, I promise my intention is there.
Sean's next what are we playing list is just going to be Disney films.
What was I watching? I'll take you up on that, by the way. I'm more than happy to talk about Big Timber again. Who do your number 3, my friend?
My number 3, aforementioned, The Incredibles. Incredibles is incredible. I love this movie. Yeah. It's a great movie. Released in 2004, directed by Brad Bird again, same director as Ratatouille, to a box office of $631 million.
Madness.
Which is insane.
Absolutely madness.
It's a large box office. The thing I love so much about Brad Bird's directing is that he, again, knows how to make people speak in a way that sound like people, where I think a lot of movies, live action, but also animation, just they don't capture the little like ums and oh and like you don't hear those. And I think the way the Incredibles speak as a family is another thing similar to Lilo and Stitch, where you're dealing with the frustrations and the little things and the awkward tensions that they have, or the contention of where they're at in their marriage or life or who you are as a person. And I think it also just layers upon layers of well, this speaks to me at this age. Well, it speaks to me at this age, and it'll speak to me at this age. And it does so well at that, at creating a story around people. And yeah, again, my favorite thing. Yeah, they have powers, but it's not about the powers. It's about the family. And I just feel that world is so rich and smart and played off to understand where comic books come from, and understanding the love for that and bringing that in, and like building that world around that long beautiful history of comic book storytelling, while also reaching the cinematic heights of just any film. It Yeah, sure, it's animation, but I sure don't think of it as an animated film. Like, I think it is more than that. And I think a lot of animation is like, animation isn't just for kids, it's for everybody if you can make it for them. And I mean, Gary, your love for anime speaks to that. I mean, how much have you been moved in a episode of One Punch Man, or for your review of My Hero Academia? How much do those mediums speak to you and influence a lot of, I mean, your love and passion for those things? I think animation has this strong ability to transcend the box that it's been put in. And I think The Incredibles was the first movie that I thought did that. It was like, oh, wow. Yeah, this movie is just a great film. This isn't just for me. And I know I was a kid at the time when I watched it, but even then I was sitting there going, what in the world? This is the Fantastic Four I wish they would have made. Like, whoa. Okay, this is great. I mean, all the Incredibles are awesome, but the villain as well. Syndrome is one of the best villains, up there with Hades. I think he's so smart, played perfectly by, oh man, no, I'm gonna blank on his name, but My Name is Earl. That's why I'm gonna come blanking on who his actual name is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, he's so good and so rich in like that thing that I love of, yeah, I know he's bad, but I know how he got there. You know, I understand what pushed him there. Like him as a kid, and I work alone. Go home, buddy, or whatever he says, and then ejects him out of his car seat. Mr. Incredible shoots him out. It's like, this whole movie is so smart, well written. It's got a great James Bond vibe. It's got elements of heroes that we know today. I think this set the stage for what we have in storytelling for a lot of like the MCU even. I mean, we look at, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or the X-Men, and I think The Incredibles is up there for why we have great superhero movies and why we understand they're great, because they make them about the characters more than the powers or more than the world-ending event. So, yeah, I think this movie is, again, incredible.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect description for it. Obviously fitting, but I loved. I know. Obviously, we'll not get into the sequel. I didn't like the sequel just as much, but I think the first film just is ridiculous. All kinds of good. Between that kind of, it's obviously like that kind of retelling of your kind of typical kind of superhero family type thing, but I think it's done with such a nice spin on it, just with the different kind of elements and where you kind of see where the kind of story goes. And I think it's they cover all the bases. The characters are still quite unique, even though they're just a kind of mixture of what ones that we've maybe seen before, and strength and flexibility and visibility, speed. Like, you see that, and you can apply that to a lot of different franchises. But I think the way that they've done this in such a setting, like such a common suburban American setting, that it just, I don't know, just kind of amplifies that.
Oh yeah. Well, the way they play their powers off of each other, it's also so well done. Because I think even in Marvel now, you don't see a lot of the combo moves. You're seeing a lot of one person doing one thing, and you have Dash going fast enough and Violet using her energy shield to turn them into a ball so they could run across whatever have you, how they're running through the forest to get through trees, or the way Frozone can create an ice pick, and Bob can pick it up and fucking toss it at the machine. Like the way they all work together in tandem is so great and fun to watch. It's like just an epic battle. Again, I think what's so smart about how they also work together is how much they feel real and grounded. They aren't all suave and quippy, and they don't speak like their IQ is 1004. Like they a lot of the things are like they're fumbling, and Bob's out of shape for most of this movie, which I really loved. Being a plus size kid, like I was watching him going, "Oh shit, I could be a superhero." That's pretty cool. I didn't realize that. That's awesome because I didn't see that as a kid, and that was the first depiction of like, oh, okay, yeah, I like this. I mean, what was the marketing for that was like trust your gut or something, and it's just him with like his gut out. It's like it's gut or glory. No gut, no glory. That's what it was. It was I love so much of this movie just because the characters are so well written and they understand.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely for the first film where he throws the car up in the air. That's definitely the first film, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's just that reaction of the kid, like, do it again. Like it's just
yeah.
that melts my heart, man. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, like the scenes of him in his office working at that tiny computer and having this horrible boss, and you're like, God, it's miserable. This is worse than any supervillain you're about to throw at us. This is horrible. Yeah. Just a day job.
I'm sitting here laughing because I remembered there's a follow-up scene where he comes home and it's the same kid sitting there, but he's got like 6 kids with him this time, as if like to watch him like do it again, like to see the. I don't even remember how that goes. I don't know if he tries to like shut the car door and the car door falls over. I can't remember, but he gets off he worked up, but it's brilliant. Full of moments like that where it's just what you say, it's grounding them. It's not like Fantastic Four or whatever. Like it's just a kind of that comedic spin and familiarity. I can't say that word. That brings the kind of title home. I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah,
it definitely nearly made my list. That's for sure.
Also, an incredible score. I'm gonna fail the name, but I'm gonna say it with confidence. Michael Giacchino. What an incredible score! Wow.
Absolutely nailed the nail on the head with that name today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think when you were talking about like this film being for adults and children, I think the only other film I remember this being like was Shrek, the first Shrek. I remember going to the cinema to see it, and I was my mum was laughing beside me, and I'm like, she's like gutting herself laughing at this. I'm like, and you don't realise until you're older, like, and you watch Shrek and stuff like that, and you get all the wee innuendos and that kind of stuff, and like pretending to swear but then stops himself, and you don't get that when you're a child. And Incredibles and Shrek are some of the first films that I realised that this was a thing, like for adults and children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aye, that's a good shout. I think that happened to me when I first kind of realised that that's a thing. The whole kind of children, adults, different takes kind of thing was I was watching Simpsons and my mum, generally like growing up, mum never really watched like TV, like especially during the week. She would come in and after making like her dinner, she'd always be busy. She'd always on her feet. So she maybe maybe stand and watch something that I was watching in the living room. If I was, if I felt like being a bit more social and I was in the living room rather than in my own room, but I'd be watching The Simpsons and she was kind of watching it and she's kind of shaking her head. She's like, "Oh, this is daft." And then I heard her speaking to my auntie and she's like, "You'll never believe the stuff that they're saying on that program. Like it's mad. Like the whole thing. Like the fact that it's." That there is that side of things, the whole a child watching it and an adult watching it. So, good shout, Gary.
Do you know what was funny? Just a total different tangent here, but just talking about like Simpsons. My mum was telling us their story the other day. She was we were talking about South Park, and my mum was like, "Oh, Gary used to watch that all the time." And it used to be a thing. It used to come on. I think it was like 9 o'clock, so it was just before we went to bed. So me and my sister was sitting and watched South Park, and everybody knows what South Park's like the smuttiest of smut. and my mum was like, "Do you know what? I let them watch it for like 2 or 3 seasons, and then she was like, and then I came in one day and he's sitting like, fuck this and fuck you and fuck this, and she was like, is this what this is? She
I
didn't even
thought it was
know.
a cartoon.
She's like, I just thought it was a cartoon. It was on at night time. Like, I didn't think anything of it.
Aye, that wasn't for kids.
I definitely know.
Oh,
We watched it as well. Oh dear. Right, okay, well, flipping the vibe a wee bit for South Park. With my number 3, I'm going to go for a classic, an absolute classic. It released the same year as this fine specimen in front of you here, 1992. I'm going to go with Aladdin for my number 3.
yeah.
I loved this film growing up. I think there's loads and loads of different features and elements of this film that just I think anyway kind of catapults it above a lot of the other films. One of them being the genie and Robin Williams' performance as the genie. I just think it was absolutely perfectly cast. Obviously, we know the carries on post film for other films and things, but in terms of like what he brought to the table for this role, there is obviously other standout characters and things like that, and Abu, like I loved Abu. I think Abu was absolutely class. Like that element of a character speaking without actually speaking, like
Mhm.
that. I think just brought a really good kind of element to it. Obviously, again, it's one of those things like when you watch it as a kid, you don't fully appreciate the the full story, the whole kind of she's supposed to be getting married, or else loses this or whatever. You don't take any of that in. Like I didn't anyway. For me, when I was younger, it was just it's Aladdin and he finds a genie and then he messes everything up and then manages to fix it. Like it's but when you kind of break it down, like there is just like most of the kind of older Disney stuff, there is that kind of love story in the background, which obviously is probably becomes most predominant near the very end, and how it obviously gets resolved of that. But just the characters just come back. Obviously, I think all the characters are just absolute class. Between as I say, Aladdin and Abu themselves, and then obviously Jafar as his in, like absolute just all sorts of nonsense. Talk about like great villains, like
Aye.
they're just he's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And the Sultan as well, like he's just that kind of cluelessness, mixed with like this big, just I don't know. It's just that clueless vibe that he's got to him, and the Sultan. But I could probably go on forever speaking about the genie. Again, that tie-in between the game. I played a lot of the game in the Sega, because I'm old. So I played that game back in the day, and that probably again is another one of those nostalgia tie-ins for me. But it was a film that I could go and watch. I could go and watch tomorrow when I finish watching the rest of these films. But no, I adored it. It was really good. I just still obviously think to this day that get a better casting than a Robin Williams.
Definitely,
Oh, boy.
definitely.
Yeah.
I was looking on the internet there. It was maybe last year, I think, or maybe the year before when Robin Williams died, and it was Robin Williams died, sorry, and it was talking about his involvement in Aladdin, and I believe they were trying to offer him loads of money to do it, and he basically was like, "No, you need to give me the same amount of money as the rest of them. Like, I'm not getting paid any more than they are." Which you just need to be like, "Wow, what a man to be working with. That he's like, I don't care how big a star I am. I'm just going to I'm equal to everybody in this." And he brought such, as you said, what a character. Totally, you think Aladdin, the first thing you think is the genie,
Yeah.
Although it's a good story and whatever else, but that's the first thing you think of. Also, the thing with Aladdin, watching it kind of as when you get older, I think this is when Disney started to dip their toe into having like Jasmine starting to be a wee bit. She's the female, but she's getting a bit feisty.
Yeah.
This was definitely like Disney starting to dip their toe into that. Although she does get saved by Aladdin at the end, which is the usual Disney thing that they had gone for a while. They had to get saved by the White Knight kind of thing. But you can definitely see the archetype starting with like Jasmine going to be the feisty female, and then things to come later on.
Aye.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to Robin Williams, it's just such a testament how mesmerizing he is that I don't think there's a character that has had as much life as he has, where it's the genie is so big but so lovable and really one of those characters that when you think Disney, you think genie because of Robin Williams. Really, I mean, it's just such a beautiful performance from him, and he was also just a wonderful person. But yeah, that and the soundtrack I think is another thing that we haven't been too big on mentioning, but the songs in Aladdin are incredible. I mean, going all the way back to Gary's with Nightmare Before Christmas, I think it's up there with all of these. Of like, if you had a Mount Rushmore of Disney soundtracks, Aladdin is definitely up there.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Especially obviously the kind of main score, the main kind of love songs. It's just aye. No, I can't even.
Go ahead, buddy.
I
can't
will
even remember
show you the world.
There we go.
DMCA.
There we go.
We don't care.
It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. They came right for you, Gary.
Perfect.
Less than 3 seconds.
Yeah.
That was it was just it's one of the things. You're right, Hoodie. We probably haven't mentioned the kind of music in a lot. I know I touched on the Lion King, but I think some of these. I think that Aladdin one probably goes, probably does take a back seat, as Gary mentions, to the genie and to the characters, and Aladdin himself is quite iconic for me, just because when I think of Aladdin, for some reason I think Aladdin and the whole kind of magic carpet, kind of scene, whatever. And again, it's intertwined with the memories of the game and how difficult the whole that those kind of carpet levels were, and everything else. Like, obviously the character of the magic carpet itself, when they first find the carpet, and it's that kind of mischievous kind of vibe, and all the kind of scenery that you see inside the cave. Like, I don't know, it's just one of those things, like, you forget how old these, that's literally 30 years ago. And it's just, I don't know, it just has that kind of that quality to it that still stands to this day, which is again why I go with this version and know the newer ones. I've not really had much interest in watching the kind of newer. I believe Maria is it live action? I was just going to say that's. I don't really want any. No offense, I just don't want to see another rendition of a film that just means that much to me for back in the day.
I've seen it. I have actually seen it, and it's quite good. It's good. But see soon, and I'm no British bashing Will Smith just to be like getting this hype train for bashing Will Smith, but as soon as he starts talking, you're just like, it has no Robin Williams. Like, that's literally the first thought that goes through your head. Everybody else, you can buy, but just see as soon as he starts, you're like, he's no Robin Williams. Which is such a shame, and I think that just speaks wonders to how well this performance was for Robin Williams.
Yeah, talk about a lose-lose role. There was no chance of coming to what Robin Williams did, and I think even Will Smith had to have known that going in, where it's like,
definitely.
Listen, these shoes are unfillable. You can't come even close to it. I'm sorry.
No,
I feel bad for you.
Doesn't matter who was in that role. It just wouldn't. Just wouldn't be as good.
No.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So yeah, that's my number 3, and just, I don't know, just one of the things I know I've brought I've brought a lot of the classics to the table, but and I'm not done yet. So number 2, what's on the score, Gary? What almost made it?
So my number 2 was Toy Story 3.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
which is an absolute masterpiece of a film. I do love it was between this and Toy Story 1, but I just think Toy Story 3 has the better story. I think growing up with the characters, I mean, I literally grew up watching these films,
Mm.
and every single one, I think it grows up with you. And this, it's about the characters that you know and love are all starting to try to find their place in the world, and they're dislodged because they feel like nobody wants them. They don't have a place to go, and it's just about trying to find their place in life, which I think was absolutely perfect with the timeline that I was in, because that's when I was a young adult, and that's when you start to go to like the career world, and you're exact same position as what the toys were in. You don't really know what you're doing. You're just becoming a young adult, and you're starting to get all these responsibilities, and you're trying to find your place in the world. So it just absolutely spoke to me.
Mm.
And that end sequence, when when they're in the I don't know what you call it, the recycling
Incinerator.
center, incinerator. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you just think, is this the end of them? And
Yeah.
such a such a heart wrenching moment. I think everybody in the cinema was like, loud gasps and like, oh my god, this is going to happen, and then just the last minute they get saved. But you're just it's just such a good film. Toy Story 3, I think it's definitely the best one out of them all. I kind of wish they stopped there as well. I felt
Mm.
like that was a nice place to stop. I felt like they should have went out in the high. But anyway, they didn't. So that's it.
Yeah.
Good shout. I know you were deliberating between 3 and 1.
Yeah.
Is that his story was the one that kind of?
Yeah, I think one's got a place in like as nostalgia and stuff like that, and it's just something that I could watch one. I've probably watched one about 50 times, and I could watch it another 50 times and never get bored of it. But I think 3 is just that it's got that perfect story. It's got like pulls at your heartstrings. It's got that. It, at the start, it shows you the happiness that kind of the toys and the remembrance and the memories, and you'll right at the start, you're like, oh, hi, oh, this is great, and then it just turns into this kind of dark story for Toy Story,
Mhm.
which again, I think they know that their audience, well, demographic was, this is young adults probably who have grew up, which we did with this
Mm.
film, and they just knew who their demographic was, but also watching as a child, you
Yeah.
could easily watch this as a child as well and just take different stuff away.
Yeah. I think this is Pixar when it reaches its like height of, oh, we're trying to make films where again, this plays into what I'm saying. I think animation is meant for everybody, and sometimes it just gets pushed into this category because there are other movies that don't reach that same level that they did with Toy Story 3, where what a trilogy can do is what Toy Story does. Of here's these characters, and perfectly, like you said, you've grown up with them. You know these characters. You are now at the same age as Andy, if not a little bit older here and there, but you still understand where they're at emotionally and mentally. And I think what a perfect way to, I was going to say, end a trilogy. Of course, they didn't, and
Yeah.
I think everybody's in agreement that they probably should have ended at 3, but uh, for all intents and purposes, ended a trilogy so beautifully. Like what a great way to do that. Because I think that was the thing with Incredibles 2 is it didn't age with me. It stayed where it started and kind of even it digressed a little even.
Yeah.
Regressed. And this movie just was so beautifully done at every angle from cinematography. I think that's the thing that most people don't look at in animation, and how incredibly difficult it is to get some of these like lens changes, because you're not using an actual camera. You're creating what a camera would, like, you're simulating what a camera would do in any other movie. So
Yeah.
like the way they shoot it is also so interesting to learn about and watch, and the way they film certain scenes and the close-up shots and the way they use blur, or it's just a really beautifully made film too, like aside from story. I mean, it's just a gorgeous movie to watch. But also, shout out Don Rickles and his tortilla moment. What a great, what a great scene. Him being pecked by the pigeon. It's trying to sneak out of this daycare. Also, what a great setting. Like, the daycare is such a smart way to show that they've grown as characters. Like, oh, yay, we get to be played by kids. Oh, not that way. No, we're much older. We can't be tossed around like this anymore. This is not for us. We used to be, but not anymore. Another way of like illustrating, not only did Andy grow up, but so did the rest of the cast, and I think they did a job at that.
Yeah, I think when you get the start, you see the security, like them playing with Andy when he's younger, and that's just what Toy Story is. Obviously, they have their adventures and stuff like that, but there's always that security being in Andy's house, and then when they start going into these other places, like they go into the daycare, and then Woody goes into, what's the wee lassie's name again?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, when Woody goes to Bonnie's house, and he's like, "Oh, I kind of know what to do here," but then it's like, "Oh wait, I'm not in the pecking order anymore." Like everybody's a wee bit different. She plays with everybody a wee bit different. It's also like that metaphor for, like, in life, you're just not always going to be in a secure position. You're going to be put in situations where you're the outcast, or you're in a place that you don't want to be, but you need to be at times as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It does such a great job. I think I referenced setting toys on fire at the beginning of this, of what I think Pixar can tend to do. And although I'm not a fan of the incinerator scene, I'm like, that's too hard, and you knew what you were doing. You knew what you were doing, and I don't like it. I don't like it, sir. But I do think it is a testament to what they are able to achieve, because I think, any other movie you set them into an incinerator, it doesn't matter. You're just like, oh, yeah, that's sad. But this one, I remember sitting in theater and mom's just dying. It's so sad, heartbroken. She can't stand it. She's looking away. Like, it's moving a woman in her, late 50s at this point, and it's like, it can move anybody, which is, I mean, I was also sobbing. So again, what a way to end a trilogy, right? We all agree the trilogy ended.
Yeah, definitely.
I agreed, 100%. I think you'd kind of summed it in more words, but the whole Toy Story thing is literally just be that, like, this is Pixar, like, just that's what it is. Like, they want, when you were talking about that, they wanted to make like actual, like, films, like actual film, like quality. You almost forget that it is an animated film, that it is a cartoon or whatever. Like, it's just the stories, like, between 1 and 3 and whatever else. Like, it's just that is, when you look at Pixar, that's probably one of the first things that comes to your mind. So I know that must have been a tough choice between 1 and 3. I think if I had a Toy Story thing, I probably would have went with 1, but only because my nostalgia bone just gets tickled too much.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on the story element of it, so I can see why that would be I can see the merit for picking that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Who did then? What almost made it on your list, mate?
What almost made it on my list?
Yeah, sorry, it's bad setup. But what almost made the number? What almost made your number 1, mate?
What almost made my number 1? You mean what's at number 2? I feel like I'm tripping you up and I'm being tripped up at the same time. Okay, what's number 2? Number 2 is Hercules.
Yeah,
I think we've covered the movie. I will say that the soundtrack is my favorite Disney soundtrack out of any of the movies. It's
nice.
So, like, from beginning to end, they have something that covers a ballad, I'm not good with the music genres, but they cover their basis on everything, and they're so like emotional. I could listen to oh boy, what is it called? Oh, now I'm blanking on it. But the one where he's running to Olympus, like to speak with Zeus. As a kid, I'm like, oh, I could listen to that and just feel. I could feel it. I'm emotional. I could go almost anywhere to feel like, oh god, it's so good. Like everything about that soundtrack, I love. But yeah, we've spoken enough.
I really love the use of the muses as well for the music. I thought that was so good, like to actually have them singing in the background and like they're a part of the film, but they're not really a part of the film. They're just kind of like narrating some of it with music. I thought it was so good.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Talk about a great use of characters. Again, like I said, every god in this movie is so well utilized, including like the demigods or the music, all of them. So smart.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only thing he left to say in Hercules is Herculade.
Hey. I can't remember the other thing that you always say, but when Hercules comes up, because you now have like a place in my mind when I think about it, and I think it is just literally just probably just singing the bit about Hercules, whatever else. Like I'm not entirely sure what it is, but there's definitely a link in there. But I can't remember because we were speaking about Hercules before in our episode for the old films, like games like in that kind of earlier episode. I think it was the first episode. It would mention Hercules, and I don't know if you'd done it in that episode or no, but I definitely have a link. But aye, good shout, Hercules. Aye, that's a good shout. Right, okay, so my number two, again, just an absolute fan of traveling back in time. It seems, but just speaking of films that use music and everything else, I've decided to put for my number two, The Jungle Book. That's where I went. That's where I went for mine. I think just I don't know. I could probably sit and listen to the full soundtrack, start to finish. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think again with the soundtrack, what a great soundtrack this has. Especially when you get into like King Louis area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good. God, I love the way he scats throughout it as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, it's such a great soundtrack. It's so fun. Too. Like just a fun Disney movie. A lot of these we've either spoke on that they're epics or morals or intimate or about family. I think Jungle Book is like that sweet spot of Disney that I always love, where it's just fun. This is a fun movie. Having a good time.
Do you know
that's a good show.
Talk about King Louis. That was genuinely one person that when I watched this film when I was maybe like a teenager, it was just on TV one day and I just caught it and I was like, that guy's like, I've got an amazing voice. And as I usually said, I loved all the scatting and I actually looked him up and his name's Louis Prima. And I like got his albums and stuff like that, and he's brilliant. He's such a good singer, and all his songs are like that. He's so good. You would know some of his songs, like "Pennies for Heaven" and stuff like "Pennies from Heaven for You and Me." It's a brilliant song. He's got like songs in like Godfather and stuff like that. He's so good. But no, Jungle Book's an absolute cracking one. Do you know what? It's funny. It's kind of one that kind of just totally. I don't even think I even noticed it on the list. Just totally went out of my mind. But it's such a good movie just for the, you've got this animal kingdom and they're living in their ecosystem and then they just plant a wee boy in it. And this boy is just a defenseless wee human and he just needs to hope that these animals are
they're all going to be all right.
Exactly.
I think obviously you've got so many different characters that bring like different things to it, obviously, and obviously the most, I'd say probably some of the most iconic and like say Blue the Bear and scratching his tail against the post and all that stuff and the bare necessities, like, which is just an absolute banger, man. But just each one of those like between him as King Louis, as you mentioned, and well, to be honest with the rest of them as well. It's crazy when you see, I'd love. I think it's one of the films that I'd love to go back and watch it again, like as like when you're young watching it. I think it just brings like a different kind of vibe to it, because I don't know, I remember, I know I watched it a lot, that's for sure. Like I definitely watched it a lot, and I'm not entirely sure if I'd like to go back and watch like all of these films for this. you know I don't know that they don't hold up or anything like that, but I just think that the innocence of watching films back in the day, especially films like this, because you don't literally, like the elephant scene is just the elephant scene, and it's, I don't know, it's just that kind of cute side of it, that it's just that kind of fun film. I didn't realise the age of the film either, until a good few years back, to how kind of dated it is. But it probably just kind of speaks volumes that it was so relevant then, and as continues to be relevant. Between the music, which is obviously the first thing we started speaking about. That's how critical that it was as a component for this film. But obviously the characters as well. But it's up there with some of the best films for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know Lion King came after, but it feels like they heard Hakuna Matata, like, and they were like, "Let's make a whole movie about that." It's just no words.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
they don't hit you over the head with the whole. Obviously, the whole story is he's he's born there, and they've raised him, and he's trying to go back to his, they're trying to bring him to human camp or whatever. But they
Yeah.
don't hit you over the head with that side of it. It's literally just the very end. Like, I love how they just focus on the animal side of it and the different kind of elements that brings to it. And even though it's all in the jungle, like, it's the different settings that they're using within the jungle just brings that whole I don't know, just brings another element to it. Between the when you go to the monkeys in the temple, and Blue dressing up like it, I don't know. It's just the more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, I really want to watch this now.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I'm going to start or where I'm going to have time to watch these films, but it's perfect for me. So we're getting to the spicy bit, the good bit. Gary's going to kick us off. His number one, his favourite.
My number one is Coco.
Hey.
Oh.
So Coco is a film. It's pretty new, actually. Probably about 6 years ago, maybe. Don't even know if it was that long ago. It's just such. I just love this film. For the first moment I watched it, and you know what? It's a film that doesn't happen very often with me. That I literally watched it and then rewatched it about 5 or 6 times after it. I just loved it that much, and that's very rare for me today. I think it's absolutely stunning. Like the use of colours in that is, when they go to like the human world to like the world of the, I don't know what they call it, world of the dead or whatever they call it. And this everything's vibrant and everything's like neon greens and pinks and oranges, and it's just such a pure eye candy, to look at. I think Miguel as a character as well, he's got really high stakes in this story. It's about him again trying to fit in. He's trying to fit in with his family, but also wants to lead his own life. And to do this, he tries to steal a guitar that makes him go into the underworld. And it's all about he needs to try and get his family's approval, one of his dead family's approval, to become a musician. Um, and talk about musician, the music in this is, if not one of my favourite soundtracks for Disney. It's a soundtrack that I, again, like the film, I actually listen to it. It's on one of my playlists. Every one of these songs there is an absolute banger, which means good. I
I
think
think people would have got that.
I think also with this film is it's got very like adult kind of themes to it as well. You know, it's got a lot to do with death, which is comes to everybody. Everybody deals in death at some point. You know, and it takes it but puts on a nice twist for children. You know, it's got this kind of fun underworld side to it, but also, you know, like, and even in the underworld, you know, there's like a scene where one of the older kind of guys die because they were saying like nobody remembers them and stuff like that. So it's got really like deep kind of um, death tones throughout the film, especially at the end when Coco actually dies at the end as well, you know. And I think everybody's been in that situation where their aunt, their grannies, or you know, older people dying, and it just totally. This is one of the films that a Disney film that I've cried at, and that's very rare, you know. And at the end of this, I was in absolute tears when me Coco died.
Hmm.
um, I think it's just an absolute amazing film from start to finish. Um, if you've not watched it, I would definitely go and watch it because it's for me. This is like an absolute 10 out of 10 for Disney.
Yeah, I've only seen this movie once, but the way they, similar to Ratatouille, the way they immerse themselves in understanding how much music matters to musicians and
Yeah,
guitar work and like going down to mocapping guitar movements so they could have that one-to-one reference of how the finger placement works, like the work that went into that movie and the animation of it is so beautiful. And I mean the use of color in that movie is also phenomenal. The way the pedals glow on the bridge,
yeah,
just a stunning movie to look at.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. They use so many different things. Just obviously, user talk about it's mostly music that they use. I think to touch. Um, I'd say touch your heart because it does. I think it involves a lot of emotion and the different elements of it. You know, depending on which part. I think the songs are brilliant. In terms of when he's trying to play. And he's just it's crazy that there's this whole other side of things, in the underworld and just the whole comedy that they bring with the kind of skeleton side as well. I
Yeah,
think it's a good stellar choice for your number one pick. I can see why. I don't know why I was surprised with you picking that, but because I knew you did have a kind of affinity for it, but that's a good shout with.
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
So Hoodie, then I'll not mix any wires up this time. I'll just ask you, what is your number one pick?
I'm gonna backtrack a second because I forgot to say
Alright.
Hercules, released in 1997, directed by Ron Clements and John Musker. It had a box office of 252 million.
Wow, that's quite
Nice.
low actually compared to
Yeah,
the rest of them. Quite shocked at
it
that.
is. It is. I was also shocked when looking up that because I thought, oh, it's like a sword and sandal kind of epic. Yeah, I
Wow.
don't know, but yeah, that was those. Now going to the number one, I think of nobody's surprise because I've said it for a long time. My number one movie, just in general, but also for Disney, is Zootopia. Zootopia is my number one movie. I love it very much. It was released in 2016, directed by Rich Moore and Byron Howard, uh, who went on to to direct Encanto, which everybody loves,
Mhm.
and then Rich Moore direct. Oh, also no relation. I tried, but no relation to Gary Moore.
No,
Um,
no,
yeah,
unfortunately.
I hoped there was an in so I could, get some Zootopia merch, but no, unfortunately, not related.
I mean,
But
if he wants to share the wealth, I mean, he still can, you know.
uh, Rich Moore also directed Wreck-It Ralph, which is another great shout out. I love
Yeah.
that movie. Not the second one, but I love the first one. Uh, the
Yeah, that was one of my kind of almost made it lists, as well as Big Hero 6 that you mentioned earlier as well.
Yeah.
Those were two that just very very close because I think Wreck-It Ralph and obviously with the whole video games thing had that kind of strong
Yeah.
link, and then Big Hero 6 with just some of the comedic stuff. But yeah, sorry, keep going with it.
Oh, Big Hero 6 is such a great, fun movie, but also like really heartwarming. It had a box office of $1 billion.
Wow.
The highest of any on my list. I can't say that for anybody else's, but for my list, the most. The movie itself, I think, speaks to what we were saying about Pixar, but then we're doing it now for. I love Big Hero 6, but I think this was the movie that they were like, what if we made a film at Disney Animation? What if the modern age of Disney Animation Studios? I feel like they understood that this was a movie that was going to speak on very heavy topics. I think this was a movie that understood it had to be for all ages, because you could watch this as a kid, it's totally fine. You watch this as an adult, and you see a very different movie. This movie is a great crime drama, and I do not say that ironically. It is an awesome crime drama, and I love that genre. I think they do so well at building out this world really quickly, because they only have a short amount of time to do this, but I feel like Zootopia lives and breathes in a way that very few movies can do, where I understand the city, I understand the rural areas, I understand the economy of that world, and like the ecosystem that they're building is so interesting. I think the movie has, plenty of faults that you can find. I'm not gonna dive into them, but they are there. And but aside from those, I think the straightforward crime drama that they tell is so compelling, and the two people at the front of it with Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps is such great characters to follow on this journey of, can you be more than who you are, right? I think you look at Nick Wilde in the movie and he's automatically a predator, and they look at him like that. And she has been terrorized her entire life by bullies who were predators, including a fox. And for her to not trust him and slowly build that trust and him earn it, and you see that throughout that movie, is so smart and well done, of this kind of buddy cop comedy but starring a con artist, kind of similar to like an Analyze This or Analyze That with Billy Crystal and Robert De Niro. I love
They're
how
so good, they films, man.
Oh, they really are. But it is that like straight man and con man kind of thing that I really love about their dynamic, where she is trying to be the best despite everybody telling her she cannot do it. Her own parents say she can't do it. Nobody wants her to do it, and she's just working hell or high water to be somebody and fulfill her dreams of being the person she wants to be. And I think that's a great way to tell it in this world that is full of lions and bears and panthers, and she's a rabbit, and she gets so condescended throughout the entire movie, and still she perseveres, and you're seeing that growth throughout it of, man, I just have to keep working and fighting in this world, but I'm not going to give up, because I know I belong here, and you can't tell me that I don't. And I thought that was such a moving message throughout that movie of, people will tell you don't belong, but you really do. Wherever you want to be, you should be. So I think that is one of many reasons that I love this movie. I also think like the character design is incredible. I think I'm a huge fan of Jason Bateman. He's one of my favorite actors of all time, and the way he plays Nick Wilde is just that great kind of suave, but like, there's something underneath that's just, he's just running away from it. And the way they build into understanding him as a character and not having him be that kind of stereotype character where, of course he turned on her. Of course he did. Well, because he's always been a predator and he always will be. And for you to learn that it's just like the misunderstandings in it and the difficulties in having those kinds of relationships and having the conversations they do in it, I think are so well done and illustrated. But also just like the mystery is really compelling. I like where they go in this world. I like how they live in this world, and just kind of going from clue to clue, or how little things tie into a bigger picture of like, yeah, Judy is a meter maid and she saves the daughter of the Godfather character, from that chase scene. And later on that plays into it because Nick, of course, screws over everybody in his life. So they're about to die. And then she walks in, you do this on my day of my daughter's wedding. And then the little bride mouse walks in and is like, no, Daddy, don't kill them. She saved my life. It's like all of that world building that they do to make everything make sense and feel alive and dynamic is so well done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this movie. I've seen it so many times and I never get tired of it.
Yeah, when I watched this film, like you touched on it, and when a film about like animals, it brings such like humanity to them as well.
Yeah.
As you said, like she's get told all her life like you can't do this and you can't do that, and she's just because she's small, and it's like no, well she can. If
Yeah.
she wants to do it, don't be putting boundaries on her. She's just as capable as anybody else, and obviously there's some sort of I always think there's kind of like about it's like race kind of tones to the
Right.
full film as well. It's like you can't do this because you're this type, or you're this animal, which is quite a deep kind of conversation to go into. But
Right.
it's definitely there, and then obviously to turn that on its head when it goes to use the animal instincts kind of stuff, which I never seen coming when I was watching it. Obviously I knew it was going to be animals, but I just thought they were going to be like animals who act like humans in the full entire film, and then they start turning into like the animal instinct stuff starts kicking in, and I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
quite a good spin on this. That the world's maybe knows what it seems kind of thing, but no, it's a good film. It's a good pick. It's a good film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that also is speaking to like the compelling mystery that it is. It's just a really good mystery that I think they tell really well. And when you get to the twist, it's like, oh, usually I can call these things, and you know what? I didn't call that. They
Yeah.
played that character really well because I didn't suspect them at all.
Yeah.
So, also shout out to the Breaking Bad reference in the in the movie. I really love that where the two sheep are cooking some blue stuff, and one of them's name is Jesse.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
while wearing hazmat suits.
And shout out to that Shakira song.
Oh man, try everything. It's so good. Oh, it's
so
so
catchy.
good.
So catchy.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah.
I've it's another one unfortunately I've no seen, but I did have a wee look at the artwork in that there just a second ago while you were speaking about it. So it's probably high up on my list to catch that between that and Up, considering I've seen the rest of the films that we've been talking about on the list. But everything that you were mentioning there, the whole kind of buddy cop kind of side to it and stuff, that was probably what kind of hooked me in, if I'm honest with you. So I'll check that out and I'll definitely give you some thoughts on it. But I'm glad it's good that it's a film that you've kind of brought to the table that not only is your kind of favourite in the sense of Disney, but one of your favourite films in general. Like that's quite a good testament to it.
Yeah, I adore this movie. I think it is what we were speaking on Toy Story 3. It just transcends a certain level of, no, we're trying to show you this is a film. This isn't, you're pocketing us. Similar to Judy Hopps, everybody's telling them, no, you're an animation. They're like, no, we're not. Listen.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Well, hear me out. This is my number one pick.
Oh boy.
It's not way back in 19 Canteen. It's more modern, which is which definitely stands out to the group that I've brought to the table. But I couldn't see past this as my number one. It was probably the first that I'd written down on the list before I even looked at the big list of Disney films. I'm going to go for as my number one. I'm going to go for Moana.
Oh yeah,
I just adore everything about that film. I could watch it right after this. To be honest with you, I just from everything. I mean, talk about the soundtracks and stuff. Like I listened the first time. I think the first time I watched this film was actually at Gary's,
Yeah.
and it might even have only been like the back half of the film. I think it was, and I'm pretty sure I then went away and got the film, and I think then I watched the full thing. Like, it's just one of the films. Like the soundtrack is phenomenal.
Definitely.
It packs a punch in the feels, that's for sure. You know the whole you know everything. I don't even want to pick out one song in particular because honestly, just about every one of them just speaks absolute volumes. No, just I love the fact that they shake up the whole that Disney chemistry or Disney formula, I should say, sorry, that makes up a film. They just kind of shook it and picked all the right elements. You know, you've obviously got the kind of funny sidekick and our hey hey and stuff like that, and that's
Mm.
probably something that sells toys and stuff, but it's still funny, man. Like just it's a small element. It's not a big element, but it's a small element of the film. And then obviously just the whole story arc in general, the fact that they show off when she's a child as well, just has that kind of cute vibe that kind of draws you in. And then obviously as you then see her grow and form into like her own like kind of independent, like no, I am I'm running the show here. I'm chief. I'm gonna lead us to a better life outside of this reef. I'm not happy with just status quo. Like I believe in something, and I'm going to go and prove that I'm right. I'm going to go and catch. Find a place for us to catch fish because this is what the village needs. Like it's just that story, that the kind of strength behind it and stuff, and then obviously the whole thing where our gran as well, like the when you see obviously what's kind of happening, and she goes away, and it brings it back as a spirit and stuff like that. You just about start greeting when you watch that, when you see that kind of thing happening. And I've deliberately not mentioned, obviously the fact that The Rock plays, one of the main characters in Maui. Like obviously, I really enjoy Dwayne Johnson in a lot of his roles. I think he's brilliant. A lot does brings a lot of when he's doing the kind of comedy side. Although I would probably say that he doesn't have a lot of like range in the comedy sides. It just seems to be he's just The Rock. But I think that's because that's all we know him as, if that makes sense. Or he's kind of him in the Kevin Hart films. But I think what he brings to the role here, obviously, he's got one of the best singing parts in this full thing, and the whole like "You're Welcome" and stuff. Like I think that's brilliant. That's a song that I find stuck in my head like just randomly every now and again. Between that and the song about the coconuts and whatever else, like, it's just I don't know. It's just a brilliant film. I couldn't no put this on the list, and I don't think that it would have been beat by any of the other suggestions. Even though you could argue that I probably did watch a lot of the other ones a bit more regularly, but I just think this was such a standout film for Disney, and not something that I expected when I'd first seen it or heard about it. But I'm quite glad that I picked it up after watching it at yours when the Wii U was watching it, and I don't know, it's just one of the things, just a brilliant film for me.
Yeah, I think it's quite telling that all three of our number one picks have all been stories that people are getting told no to do stuff, but they go and do it. You know,
Aye.
Yeah.
everybody's number one's the exact same. But they're just all different stories. But Moana's an absolutely fantastic film. Like you can't say any more about it. It's superb. All the characters are so likable. Moana plays off the Maui so well. They're like totally different, but they just bounce off each other so well, like chemistry
Mm.
wise. The comedy in it as well. With his tattoo, like Maui's tattoos, Like he's kind of like
Oh,
maybe he's like I'm going to do this. Like maybe it's a bad decision. You see his like tattoo like being grumpy with him and like saying no, don't do that. Like what are you doing? And like the bit where he's trying to teach her how to be a pathfinder in the water. And he's lying down and he's like peeing in the water and he's like, is it warm yet? And all that. And she's like, it's warm now. It's definitely got like the adult tones in there as well, peppered in. But it's a fantastic film, and that crab scene when they're fighting the crab is just absolutely an eye candy, man. Total like
Aye.
all the colours they use for that and the lighting, and it's just so good.
Aye,
Oh,
I think the whole like how far I'll go like thing like that. I think I listen. I don't know when I watched that film. I think I listened to that song. I don't know, almost every day for about a week, and I don't mind admitting that because I don't know, it's just the power and emotion behind it was stand out.
Yeah. Speaking to the soundtrack of Disney kind of like, oh, what if we took a break from musicals? Like let's move away from that for a while. And then slowly came in Frozen with like a standout, oh, we haven't seen this in a hot minute. I feel like Moana was the one that was like, oh man, wow. This is what I loved about Disney. Like this soundtrack is so rich and beautiful, and one of those soundtracks that can just be added to any playlist. Like you could pick a song from that soundtrack and just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna add it to my everyday playlist." I'm not. It's not even a. It's not. I'm not. It's not for my kids. It's not for to whatever have you. It just is such a great soundtrack, and the songs in that are fun. Is another thing that I love about them. They're fun songs. Like they have a great rhythm to them. They have a great energy. They are ones that you can listen to and not get tired, because I feel like, on the Frozen ones, you'll run into those real quick. Like, I have heard Let It Go. Thank you. Thank you.
That's a good cap, I think. And by the way, that's a good point as well, Gary. The fact the whole the link between the three of them, I think probably speaks to all three of our characters more than anything else in terms of determination and strength, not to go to what other people are telling you. It's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that that's obviously came through as well. So
I think the only thing we need to do then, could we just cap off the honourable mentions, if that's all right? Just again,
you want to throw a few in there?
So my honourable mentions was Moana was one of them. The other one was going to be Princess and the Frog. Absolute fantastic film. If nobody's seen this, it's such an underrated Disney film. It's kind of like the last kind of 2D kind of animated.
It is.
And I don't know how this film isn't bigger than what it is. The soundtrack, and it's amazing. It's such a dark story, so dark for like a princess story. It's such a good film. Definitely, if anybody's never seen it, you need to get that watched pronto. And my last one was Wall-E.
Oh yeah,
Wall-E. I just absolutely love Wall-E. To have a character that can't even speak, and absolutely carry that movie for however long it is. And he's such a lovable character. A bit like Stitch. He's this kind of lovable, cheeky, gets himself into mischief character. But it's a superb film. It's an absolute superb film.
Yeah, it was
really
close to
is.
getting on my list, I think.
Yeah. That's my honourable mentions.
Also,
played,
shout out to the soundtrack of Wall-E having a recyclable CD disc. The case was recyclable materials, which like played into what they were really talking about in that movie. And I thought that was a nice touch. Like, man, you're really standing by what you mean. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, I quite liked it. It was kind of like a time capsule, like all the songs as well. It's a bit like Fallout, kind of. It was like that you've only got this certain amount of songs to play because that's all you've got,
Yeah.
It was great.
Hoodie, what about yourself, mate? I know you mentioned a few at the start. Do you want to run through your honourable mentions and then if you've got any other ones?
You know what? I'll add on Luca. I really loved Luca. I know
It
it's
was
one
good.
of Pixar's more recent. I think it's a really sweet film. I think again, I like movies that are about family and just like the reality of a family instead of it being like, oh, everything's great. Uh, I like that. I also one that was near miss from my list was Onward. I adore Onward. I think it is one of Pixar's best. Um, a really great movie. And then the last one is Meet the Robinsons. I think that's a movie that is constantly overlooked by people, and not enough attention gets drawn to it. It is such a great homage to the entirety of Disney and creation and believing in your dreams and changing the world for the better. In whether it be a small impact or big, you can make a difference. And I think that is a beautiful movie.
Perfect, perfect ending there for the honourable mentions, man. I think I mentioned mine obviously as we were going there, and Wreck-It Ralph. Again, another one that Gary had kind of introduced to us when we'd either watched it yours or whatever it was. But brilliant film. Just literally just missed it. I think actually it was on the list, and then I think I just did a wee double check back through to see if I'd missed anything, and then that's when Hercules kind of popped into the scene. I thought I can't even put that on there.
Gonna wreck it.
Yeah, obviously Big Hero 6 as well, which we spoke about earlier. But there was another film that I wanted to give a shout out to. I can't remember. I'm not entirely sure that if Hoodie actually vibes with this one, but I enjoyed the film Inside Out. Um, I really liked it. I think we went to the cinema to see it. I can't remember though. But I thought it was quite good, and obviously conveying the whole kind of human emotion sides, and just how that kind of deals, how people kind of deal with that, and just putting that kind of cartoon spin on things. And I thought the performances in that was really good. In terms of just showing how quick different emotions can change, and how that can play with your mind and your mood and whatever else. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
that was another one that I wanted to just kind of throw out there. But yeah, if if there's nothing else for you guys, we'll wrap it up at that. All good.
I'm great.
I'm
Thank you.
good.
Awesome. Hoodie, thanks again, mate, for joining us. I'm pretty sure we'll definitely have you on again. It was quite a seamless, experience for me anyway, in
Are
terms of having.
you? I thought Hoodie was going to be in every single episode now. Is that not what was happening?
I was just trying to warm him up to it, if I'm honest with you. I wanted to ease him into it just to see how positive he reacted to being on the episode. But listen, Hoodie, that's you. You're wrangled for life. Um, But I listen. Like we said, you were definitely high on the list. Not because you're the only viewer, but just we wanted to. No, I only joke. I only joke. No, we genuinely just what we wanted to share this podcast with a couple of friends and stuff like that, and it is a very much a podcast for myself and Gary, but we couldn't have had an episode without yourself on it. Excuse me, sorry, who am I?
Getting
Definitely.
choked up.
Nah, he's getting
I
choked
I was
understand.
so
Very emotional moment.
I was fighting back a cough, man. I was like, I
So
need to
sorry. You
finish this
okay?
sentence. Oh my god! But no, we couldn't have thought about a better. It actually does sound like I'm fucking trying about to start greeting here.
Yes. You
I was
just
about
can't
to
see it.
start.
Yes.
I like a
No,
Pixar movie.
no, he's totally right. As soon as we were thinking of episodes to do yourself, this Disney one came up, and we we're like, Hoodie just needs to be on this. And it was the first thing we've got a full thing of like episode ideas. We've got, I don't know, maybe a 30 episode ideas, and like one of the top ones was like Hoodie on the podcast, and didn't even have 8 on it. you know, it was one of the first things we thought of, and we just like to share this experience with you. And I'm so glad to have you on, and as Sean said, it will be definitely happening again.
Well, I can't thank you enough. It really is an honor and a privilege. I am a fan. I've spoken to you both enough about it off air of just how much I love your podcast and what you're doing. And I think I know we're friends, but you know, listening to it like you're just hanging out with friends is such a meaningful thing when I listen to a podcast. Like feeling invited, like this is a place that I can just hang out. And you're doing great work here, and I love what each episode comes out. I'm excited to listen to it and just enjoy hearing you both, which is, I mean, is a testament to your friendship in real life. It's like you two really are brothers in a way that I think is so beautiful and wonderful to listen to, and hearing you both conversate over anything and everything and just being able to vibe off each other is so great. So thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Cheers, man. I'm going to clip that out and post it.
We're going to have it like, you know, they're going to have like the review thing on every episode. It'll be like Hoodie says.
I'll just be like, and now a word from our sponsor, and it just be like,
today we're sponsored by Vault Dwellers, approved by.
Exactly, approved by the Penny Marvels. No, listen, we do. Obviously, we both appreciate that.
Definitely.
And yeah, thanks very much. So, yeah, everybody else, listen, I really loved this episode. I wasn't sure. Honestly, I wasn't actually sure about it on the run up to it, because I just wasn't sure how much I'd be able to speak to the films, and you know what we would be bringing, what kind of energy we would bring to the table, because it is a bit of a different shake up from our traditional our episodes so far, I should say, because we're not really a traditional podcast. We're pretty much going to cover just about everything, but it was a different kind of thing, obviously, in Disney films, and I'm glad that we did it, and glad that we involved Hoodie. If you'd like to, obviously, you know, leave us a wee review, a wee comment, a wee question for the next episode, keep an eye out on our social media, and we'll make sure we try and kind of post future episodes. If people, you know, want to leave some comments in the video, we can share future ideas and things with yourselves. But yeah, leave a like, go and review on your podcast services as well. It helps other people find the podcast, which would really help us out. There's loads of backlog and loads of other episodes for you guys to check out, so please do that as well. And as always, we'll be back in a few weeks' time. Take care, guys, and we'll see you next time. You go, Hoodie.
Wait, what?
Just
saying bye.
I'm supposed to say bye?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. Bye. Hey, no. While I'm here, you know, leave your top 5 down below. We'd like to all read them. It'd be great. In the comments below.
Goodbye, children.
Hi everyone, thanks for listening. This has been the Vault Dwellers Podcast. If you'd like to keep up with myself and Mr. Gary Moore, Gary is on Instagram at Gary Moore's Art, and you can find myself over on Twitter and Twitch at MrMac92. And a very special shout out to a very talented artist, our good friend Hoodie, for creating the logos used on the Vault Dweller Podcast. Keep up with Hoodie at the Penny Marvels on social media.